There was a time in my life that I just wasn't as happy as I am today. I just wasn't where I was at. I wasn't my best self, and that was really because I wasn't getting the sleep that I needed. And then I discovered Helix Sleep, and then the game changed. I mean, really, when this show started, I was not sleeping on a Helix mattress, and quickly Helix said, "Hey, we need to help this guy." And wouldn't you know it, I slept on a Helix mattress, and now this show is one of the biggest in the world. All thanks to Helix Sleep. It is amazing. It's one of the greatest inventions of all time. If you are looking for a new mattress, look no further than Helix Mattress. It's truly incredible.
Anytime we are in a hotel or staying at like a family member's or a friend's house and we're not sleeping on a Helix mattress, our necks hurt, our backs hurt, Helix Sleep is recommended by multiple leading chiropractors and doctors of sleep medicine as a go-to solution for improving your sleep. All you have to do is take a quick online quiz to be paired with the mattress for you. We use the Moonlight mattress, and they give you a 100-night trial and a 10 to 15-year warranty to try out your new Helix mattress. So if you don't like it, after 100 days, you can return it. Go to helixsleep.com/VIALL for the spring savings event to get 20% off site-wide. That's helixsleep.com/VIALL for 20% off site-wide. helixsleep.com/VIALL.
You're crazy.
How's it going?
Hey, my name is Bryce. I'm 27 years old and I need some help. I caught my girlfriend cheating at me at a baseball game that was on national television.
Whoa. Dude, this is like
Right.
First of all, I'm sorry. That sucks. So like where are we do you have the footage?
I do, unfortunately. Yeah, so it's crazy. I don't know where you want me to start, but this isn't like we were dating for a couple weeks and she went out and did that. No, we were dating for 3.5 years and had several conversations about like getting engaged and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And man, it just totally out of left field happened, which is ironic me saying that. But
Pun intended.
yeah, caught her on TV. My little brother actually caught her, and the way it happened was just nuts. I mean, where I'm from, like baseball's big.
Yeah.
And so for them, for her and this other guy to go and do that, they were very aware of the possibility of getting caught. And yeah, my little brother caught it and he called me and I immediately turned it on, rewind it and saw it. And it was just, I mean, in shock. I don't really know
I'm
any other
sorry,
way to
dude.
put it.
That fucking sucks, dude. And like
Yeah.
were they like kiss camming and or like being affectionate, or they like she was like with a guy that
Very, very affectionate.
Okay.
And she's so damn stupid. Like, his arm was around her, she's holding his hand, and you could just see how awkward it was for her. No, I mean, I don't know if she knew she was on TV. She was definitely on like the Jumbotron,
Okay.
but I don't think she knew she was on TV until my siblings decided to send her a message.
So she knows she's got caught. We know that now.
Oh, she knows it now.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. And what has she said?
So, man, I took a different route than probably most people would took. I never reached out to her. Once it happened, that was it. It's been almost a month now. I have not reached out to her one time. I blocked her on everything.
Okay.
I removed all my social media, just go off the radar for a little bit,
Okay.
kind of recoup myself.
Do you have this footage? Like, do you have it on your phone?
Yeah.
Can you send it to Justin? I am curious. I just want to see it. We
Yeah.
won't
Yeah.
use it. We obviously want to protect
Yeah, sure.
people's identity.
Yeah, man, the whole thing has just been I don't even know, just probably, I mean, definitely the craziest thing that I've ever had to deal with in my life.
Yeah, it sucks, man.
Especially when you're 3.5 years in, apart from like money invested and time and stuff. Just, I was getting to that point where I was ready to like actually figure out my life, settle down, get married, have a family and all that. And
Yeah.
hoes gonna be hoes at the end of the day, I guess.
You're just hurting, man, right now. That's all.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
For sure.
How old is she?
She is 20, about to be 25.
Okay. You're 27?
Yes.
Okay. Back to like how you handled it. So like, you haven't talked to her in a month. You blocked her on everything. You just kind of, I'm guessing you're just like, your little brother told you, you saw it, moment of shock, you hurt, whatever. And you're just like, fuck this. I'm done. I'm out. I have my answer kind of thing. But like you also called in and you're like, hey, how do I handle my girlfriend cheating on me? So in your mind, is she your girlfriend today?
No, so this is the backstory on it. Okay. So we dated 3.5 years, and this past May, so May 2024, we took a break. and it was a literal break. She said that I was very complacent in the relationship. I wasn't putting a lot of effort in. And I, I was like, okay, you're right. I do love you. Like, I've definitely kind of been lazy here and there. So let me get my shit together.
Mhm.
I was still living with my parents, whatever. I was just trying to save money to where I could buy a house and stuff. And so, when she broke up with me, I was like, she's right. Like, this is a reality call. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So over like the next 30 days of that breakup, we stayed in contact the whole time, which was weird, but I started figuring out what I wanted to do. I mean, I have a great job, great family. The only thing I was lacking was like a place to be on my own. So I went out and started looking at houses. I ended up buying a house in September. By this point, we were back together. So we were back together. Things were going great. Asked her to move in with me around Thanksgiving. She would refuse to move in with me. Didn't provide me any reason other than that she didn't have the money to help out. And I told her, you don't have to help out. Like, I got everything. Like, you don't have to worry
Gotcha.
about it.
Yeah.
And so she's still like, I just don't think that we should do that. And so I'm just like, all right, well, whatever. I'll try again in a few months. And so a few months go by, and I guess this was probably a month ago exact. I brought it up again, and she was still the same way. Like, I just don't think we should do that right now. It's still early in our relationship. And I'm like, it's been 3.5 years.
Sure. Yeah.
We either have an idea of where we're going or we don't. Like, we're kind of too far along at this point. And so this was like this was a Saturday night. She came to my house. We spent the whole night together, ate dinner, date, everything. Fantastic evening. The next morning we wake up and she breaks up with me. And so again, this is like the first part of me being shell shocked. I didn't understand where it was coming from.
Sure.
I asked what was going on, and she said that we weren't getting along well. And I knew something in the back of my mind told me that something was going on that
Sure.
I just wasn't aware about. But I trusted her with everything in my life. I mean, I've never trusted anyone, even family, like I trusted her.
Yeah.
And so I just knew in my guts something was wrong. And while she was at my house breaking up with me, I asked her, I said, "Are you cheating on me?" And she lost her shit on me and was like, "I can't believe you'd say that." And I even apologized for saying it because I was like,
Yeah.
"That,
Yeah.
you would never do that. You would never do that." And so she was like, "Look, this isn't like a real breakup. Like, we need to take a break again. We need to figure things out. We're not communicating well. So let's spend some time apart. We still need to talk. We still need to, so we can see each other, but we're not gonna have the title of dating." So I'm like, "Oh, okay, like, whatever you say, whatever." So the next day comes and I called her and I was like, "I don't think we should do this at all. Like, look, you say you love me, I love you. We've been through so much together. Like, let's just sit down and talk and figure this out." And she said, "No, I don't think that's a good idea. We can't ever talk about it on our own." I said, "Well, then why don't we go sit with like a couples therapist and, figure this out? That's someone who doesn't know us. They can hear both of our sides of the stories or whatever we have to say, and they can help form an unbiased opinion on it." She said that it was too early in our relationship to do that. But then I was like, "Okay, well, why don't we start going to church and actually build a foundation on God?" I mean, that's our religion, Christianity. She said she doesn't trust priests or pastors. So I'm like, "Well, fuck, you're giving me absolutely nothing here.
Yeah.
I can't talk with you. We can't go sit with someone, and we can't build a foundation." So I told her, I said, "This is really simple. Either I'm going to give you a legitimate breakup, meaning no texting, no talking, no seeing each other. You're not going to know where I'm at. You're not going to know what I'm doing, or we sit down and figure this out." And she couldn't decide. So I said, I'm gonna decide for you then. And so I told her, I said, whenever you decide what you want to do, you let me know and just send me a text saying I'm ready to talk. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
She bawled her eyes out crying. She didn't want it to be this way, blah, blah, blah. And so over those next few days, she resorted to texting my mom, asking my mom, is he okay? Where is he at? Is he at work? Is he at home? And my mom was like, "All right, this is becoming a problem now that she's bringing me into it."
Yeah.
And we're adults, right? I mean,
Sure. I'm
just
sure
don't
on
do that.
some level though, her reaching out to your mom felt a little good because it was like
She still had me. She
yeah.
still had me on
Yeah.
the chain, I guess you could say. And so it was Thursday, she calls me and I answered it. She had been texting me all week telling me, "I love you so much. I hope you're okay. Are you all right?" Blah, 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 blah. And I didn't answer. I told her loud and clear, "You let me know when you're ready to talk."
Yeah.
And so it was this Thursday, and she called me at like midnight asking how I was, and she was rambling on about something totally irrelevant. And I was like, "Look, let's cut the bullshit. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I'm 27. I'm trying to figure this out. Like, I don't want to be playing games, wasting time. Like, what's going on?" And her response to me was, I saw on Facebook that this is how childish this sounds. I saw on Facebook that your following count went up. Are you adding girls on Facebook? And I'm no, like people, I add people I work with.
Yeah, sure.
I know people, I'm adding people.
It's also Facebook. I don't know if girls are girls.
Yeah.
It's
No,
like
right. I mean, seriously,
Snapchat
seriously. And
or
I'm like,
Instagram.
no, like, and so she says, were any of the people you added like females? And I was like, yeah, well, I mean, one of them was. I went to school with her. No big deal. Like, never had a relationship with her. Don't
For sure.
desire to have any relationship with her. I'm still trying to figure out our relationship. That's what matters to me. And so she was like, okay, well, if you're going to go ahead and add other people, don't be mad when I start talking to other guys. And I'm like, hold on, what? Like, that's not even remotely the same.
Like, what do you-
So she went on to basically tell me that she had texting or Snapchatting, whatever it was, with some guy. And I told her, I was like, look, that's it for me. Like, I'm not playing these games. Like, I love you, but your head's just not in the right space. And I basically just wished her well and hung up on her. And she blew my phone up all night. And I finally answered it because I was trying to get sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was like, "That's not what I meant, like, I was just talking to a guy that I'm friends with about the whole situation." I'm like, "Okay." So I forgave her again. I'm like, "Alright, whatever. Let me know when you're ready to actually talk." And so she hung up that night, sent me a text saying, "I love you so much, like, you're my best friend ever." Sent my mom a text saying, "Just want you to know how much I love your son and how much your family means to me. And, once we figure out this time apart, once we get back together, things are going to be great." And then 48 hours later was caught on TV with this guy.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so,
We have the video now.
I'll play it and then we'll cut it out. Full HD.
HD, bro.
yeah.
That sucks, man. That must have fucking ripped your heart out. And so, okay, so then you found her a couple days later, and then you've blocked her ever since. You haven't really spoken to her since.
I have not talked to her since that
Okay.
night. I was on the phone with her that
So,
Thursday night.
like, now that you're calling in, and now I understand the story and the context. Like, what are you
Right.
as of today trying to figure out? Like, what can I help you like wrestle with? Because to be honest, a lot of your instincts seem to be pretty good, right? Like, considering
Yeah.
your situation and what you're going through, and like you're making generally decent choices. Like, yeah, I've seen people make worse choices. I've made worse choices in similar situations. But you're able to trust your instincts and your gut pretty well given the stakes. But like, how can I help you going forward?
Yeah, I mean, really just how do I move forward? I mean, I know I probably sound okay, and like, I mean, mentally I am okay. The only two things that have happened where a reaction has happened was that night. The night I saw it, I was getting in my truck to drive to the game to just show up and probably get arrested and beat the shit out of this guy.
Sure,
Honestly,
yeah. Yeah.
if it wasn't for my brother, I would have been arrested. And then probably a week or two later, I just got the urge and I called. I know this guy very well. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And like, people blast him all over social media for who he is, and like, he cheats on girls all the time.
And it doesn't. It honestly,
I mean, he's like eight.
It honestly, I guess it doesn't
It
really
don't matter.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter because like either way, it's gonna fucking hurt because either he's a piece of shit or a great guy. Either way, you're gonna fucking hate him.
Right.
Right. So like, it doesn't make a difference. All right, but go ahead.
Yeah, but no. So like, it's trying to figure out how I just move forward. I mean, I've been obviously trying to keep myself busy, going to the gym twice a day, spending time with family, spending time reading the Bible, just trying to better myself. But like,
so let me ask you this, and there's no wrong answer here. I want to be very clear about that. Take your ego out of it. Take your pride out of it. Are you still like on the fence contemplating, like, do I figure out a way to work this out with her? I don't even know how or what that looks like, blah, blah, blah. But I still fucking love this girl and I wish it didn't happen, but blah, blah, blah. Or are you just like, listen, I've moved on. I'm not over her. I'm still like fucked up a little broken, but I do know like she is not my person and I'm just trying to move forward. Which one's more truthful?
oh shit, dude. I guess that's why I'm calling you. I don't know.
Okay.
Like,
fair enough.
part of me at times is like, I'm in a better headspace without her being here.
Sure.
But then there's part of me that's like, if she really came to me with like a genuine apology, I mean, that's the thing, she hasn't, and she lives close enough to me to show up and make an apology. I've ran into her multiple times where she just acts like I don't exist. So it's like,
okay,
is she a heartless bitch and she faked who she was? So it's I'm 50-50 on it, because I do love her. I mean, you don't just stop loving someone after 3.5 years, even after they do you wrong.
But let me ask you this, to be clear, has she, for the most part, accepted your decision? And that decision is to like block her, be done with her. And like to your point, she, when you ran into her, it's not like that resulted in her banging your door down. She acted like she didn't know you, and she knows where you live, and like,
Right.
I mean, she hasn't.
So it's weird because I don't know if she's accepted it because, like, she lives by me, but for her to be on my side of town, there's no need. Like, she doesn't do anything over here. There's nothing for her over here. And so, like, literally 2 nights ago, she's right by my house. And I live in an area
How do you
where
know that?
there's nothing. I was right next to her in traffic.
Okay, fuck
Right
that.
next to
Yeah,
her.
that sucks. Okay. Well, here, I'm going to say this to you first
And
before we,
yeah.
before we unpack what you're trying to do. Like, and this is honestly more, if I give you any advice on this call, I hope you I hope you listen to this advice. She fucked you up, right? We've get fucked up before. Like she hurt you, you've, had a lot of plans, she cheated on you or, like and also I'm guessing her version is different because like it sounds like there was like this kind
Of
of
course.
are you together, are you not together? I don't fucking know. But listen, you felt like she violated your trust, and like you have the right to feel that way. You've talked about self embetterment. You talked about reading your Bible and yada yada yada. More than anything, what's really important about this is that like you don't let this person like affect you to the point where you like, listen, everyone has baggage. You're gonna have to deal with this shit some way, somehow, so you don't bring shit into your other relationship. But I've seen a lot of guys get fucked up by women and like honestly just become toxic assholes and use that as a justification to like be shitty towards women and say things like hoes will be hoes and all women are bitches or whatever or like all women like listen,
Yeah.
people are fucking shitty and there's a lot of shitty men out there and there's a lot of shitty women out there and everything in between, right? And so like if
Right.
my biggest advice to you, like man to man, is just like, listen, like she hurt you, and like you're gonna have to figure that you have a lot to figure out. But whatever you figure out, don't be so weak that you allow this person to like at the end of the day change your perspective and attitude towards women in general, and let this person like honestly talk about women in ways that like you would rather if you were still with your girl right now you wouldn't be like hoes being hoes and shit like that, And I just think, like
Yeah. Yeah.
don't allow yourself to let your anger change who you are and how you treat and act women in general.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. And
Um,
I know I said that, but
hey,
that is
listen, I get
definitely
it. You're hurting right
shifted my
now. Yeah,
mindset.
listen,
Yeah.
it's affecting you. I'm just saying I've seen a lot of guys, and then like, I appreciate you calling me. That's a good sign. Dealing with, listen, everything you told me, it sounds like, she, by the way, you got a pretty ex. She's an attractive girl. She's 2 years younger than you. You're from a small, you're from a small area. I'm from Wisconsin. You remind me of myself when I was your age. You got a lot going for you. You're a good-looking guy. You got a job, like you mentioned. So it's like you got to a certain point. I bought a house. I should buy a house, and now it's like, I think a lot of people your age, right? Like I always say, like we in our 20s, we're living up to the expectations we set for ourselves as teenagers. When you think about it in those contexts,
Yep.
sounds kind of stupid. But you're also living up to your expectations of like how you were raised and your family and your community and your surroundings. And there's a lot of good, right? Like I don't know, sounds like you have a good family, you got a good role models, and like we want to model our lives for the people that have been good examples. But you're also
Right.
you're 27, very transitional part of your life, man. It's just like you're in this weird area, like you're older than you've ever been. When you reflect back on you as a 20-year-old, you're like, that guy was a stupid, dumb piece of shit, and now I'm so much smarter and wiser and I have more money. And so you there have that, but you're also only 27. You still have a lot of life in front of you, right? And then like I would say, I agree with your girlfriend. You got to this point where you're like, I don't know, I bought this house, we've been dating for 3 years, and you're like, you should move in. And, she was like making all these excuses and you're like, I don't need the money and blah, blah, blah. And like in that moment, what you should have listened to was her saying, I'm not ready to move in. And like, it honestly there doesn't need to
Yeah.
be a reason, right? Like I tell people, listen,
Right.
like there's 2 reasons why people should move in with each other. One, you're engaged and or married in your, like there is an actual commitment to each other. Or 2, you're both just fucking excited about the idea of moving in with each other. That's it. Like, it shouldn't be about rent and convenience, and you were ready, but she clearly wasn't, man, and like you didn't really want to
Well,
listen to
that's
that.
where that's what screwed me up though, is because she was so ready to buy a house. Like she was like, We need to start looking." Like,
Sure.
we talked about it for months and months and months. And then when it came time to like start looking, she just like backs off of it. And so I don't, there was a change when we broke up in May. There was a major change that happened. Something happened because the dynamic between me and her family completely shifted. I personally, I mean, looking back at, numerous different things happen. I think this has been going on for a while.
Yeah, maybe.
Uh, and I mean, yeah. I mean, I've had several things happen out of coincidence, but
If you want to break it
um,
down to its simplest form, my guess is that like at the end of the day, you have a little bit of an age gap between you and her. You have a lot of good things going for you, right? And you became more established, more secure, and like, listen, at least where you are right now, you're like, you're kind of ready to start your life, whatever that life is, right? She's not ready to
yeah,
start her life, and despite everything,
correct.
and
Yep.
I'm guessing if I were trying to empathize with her, right? If I'm trying to be her friend for a moment, just to understand her a little bit better, my guess is that like you presented all the things that she, that 19-year-old her told herself that she should be looking for and yada, yada, yada. And you're a good guy with a good family and a good job and a nice house. And it's like, why? But like also maybe she's just like, I don't know, maybe independent her was just not ready to accept that life. And she didn't really know how to communicate that to you. You
Yeah.
tried your best and like, I don't know, like you honestly, the way you told your story, it honestly sounds like you handle yourself pretty well. But like, you're probably two relatively young people who couldn't figure this part out, right? Because like, you live in
Right.
this community that like still is rooted in family values. I'm guessing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like a lot of people, I'm
Yep.
guessing your communities relatively around this time are settling down and yada, yada, yada. I saw a video of her. She's an attractive girl. You're an attractive guy. You guys are dealing with the fact that, a lot of people in the community, like sometimes settle down out of necessity. You're two people like who have options. You got things going for
Yeah.
and now you're in your
Right.
20s. It's like it's a very like you don't know the answer. Should you be settling down
Right.
now, starting your life, or as a pretty, as a guy who has a lot of things going for him? I don't know, man. Like, I guess my point is, if you would have told 27-year-old me, you need to chill the fuck out and you need to wait. If some archangel came down and said, I got news for you, buddy. Now's not the time for you to get married. Now's not the time for you to settle down. I'm not going to tell you when it's going to
Yeah.
happen, and I would have been like, what the fuck that,
Right.
everyone else in my life,
Right.
all my buddies that are getting wifed up. I've dated everyone in fucking Milwaukee that I think I could have dated. Like what the fuck, man? Like I'm ready. Took me, I'm not saying you should wait till you're 40, but like you don't know what life's going to bring you, man. Like you don't know what opportunities and challenges and risks that you can take. I was a free agent, man, and I was able to say yes to a stupid show like The Bachelor. Then I was able to say yes to move to LA and quit my very good job to like chase a pipe dream. And it all seemed kind of fucking crazy. It was calculated. I had some backup plans. It
Yeah.
was thought through, but like my life has changed like in the craziest possible way. And honestly, in a lot of ways, I feel like my life's just getting fucking started. And a lot of that had to do with me not getting my way when I was 27 when it came to relationships. And I only
Yeah,
tell
that's
you
good
that
advice.
story is to just be like, listen, man, like there's, you're going to really struggle with letting things happen as a man, as a guy who's just like, you're 27 and it's like, you probably in a lot of ways feel like, fuck, man, I've worked so hard to get this far. And now I want to start fucking taking control of my life, and
Right.
and you buying that house and you trying to move in with your girlfriend is like you trying to take control of your life, and you had the, but maybe your life wasn't ready or didn't need to be taken control of, and, maybe you just had to let things play out. And my guess is like, she's giving you a lot of answers. And in this conversation, like you said, you're like, your instincts, your gut tells you that maybe this isn't the first time she's pulled shit like this. It's just the first time you caught her. I don't think your girlfriend's a bad person. I think she's a bad communicator. I think she's a pretty girl who's got some options, and she is really like just not sure if she should like chase the, you're safe and he's exciting. And I'm sure, that's not something to like fuck with your ego or whatever. And it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't even matter who he is, right? Like, it's just something different, right? And so she's not in a position to like have a healthy conversation, but you've made some good fucking choices as it relates to how to handle that. And now what you're fucking with is like, you blocked her. You said, fuck off, goodbye, I don't want to talk to you. But she hasn't really fought for you. And if I'm you and I'm your ego, that's going to fuck with me, man. And that's going to like, and you're not being sure whether you still love her or you're ready to move on or not. Honestly, like the fact that you haven't heard from you probably makes it more confusing, because I would be confused if I were you, and it would fuck with me, and it would just like, personally, I think you're better off just continuing down the path that you're on, saying goodbye to this relationship. You know, the fact that she is in your proximity, that just sucks, you know, but she is like nothing's changed in her life. That's for sure. Right. You know what I'm saying? No, she's no less sure. You handled it pretty well. You were like, you trusted your gut. You asked for clarity. She couldn't give you clarity. You said, all right, well, then I got my clarity I'm looking for. I'm going to make the decision for you. Right. And you did. And then she went to a baseball game with a fucking dude, you know, like fresh off of you, like and it felt like a violation, but that was her answer, man. And
it was.
And she keeps giving you answers, which is to not really fight for the relationship or not really do any work. And like you are the stronger person in this relationship, and that should tell you something. And that's not to be like, not for your ego to be like, I'm better and more mature than her, and I'm, you know, but like you're not the same level. And like you can. And again, I'm not saying you're meant to be single for 10 years and you're supposed to go on The Bachelor or some crazy shit. My advice to you is to just accept that maybe you are wrong about what your path should be, and that you don't know what your path is.
No, that's a good point.
And in the meantime, just make good decisions for yourself. Make healthy decisions, invest in good people, invest in your family, read your Bible, make sure that you are, you know, not letting this person affect you in ways that project that and help in you know, the hurt people. Make sure that you're not hurting other people because she hurt you, and get to a good and healthy place where, like, listen, she is just one person, man. She seems like, you know, to someone she might be a good catch, but like she's got some figuring some shit out to do. And you know, good news, you have a lot of eligible years left, man. Like you do. And so I don't know what that looks like for you, but the more you can just be comfortable with being alone, be fine that you bought this house, be open to the possibilities of what options you even have for this house. You can rent it, you can sell it, who knows, man? You literally have your whole fucking life in front of you, and you have a lot of good things going for you, and this is a bump in the road. But like everything that matters, you still have. You still got your family, you still got your job, you still got your health, you know, you still got your age, which, you know, you're only going to get older, but man, you are truly as eligible as you're ever going to be. And honestly, you have a good 15 fucking years left to be like prime eligible bachelor for literally any age group of women. And so might as well just take it, you know. I only say that to you right now because I don't want you to make some sort of like hasty decision to like convince yourself you need to go back to this girl, you know, for whatever reason you go back to her.
I mean, I think it's been a little over, I think it's been right at a month since this happened. There has been very little thought, like, should I go back to her? I won't reach out to her.
Good.
Like, it's going to be, you know, if she even wanted that, it would come with a lot of work of her having to apologize and like genuinely mean it. But like in the meantime, I'm not waiting for that. Like I'm pushing myself forward.
Good.
Every day.
And the truth is, you don't
put myself out there.
Your ego wants to hear from her, I'm guessing, you know, but like you should, like she's not changing anytime soon. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that was stopping her from saying yes to you and yes to moving in and yes to moving forward and taking the next step, like that hasn't changed in her life. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
And she wasn't wrong, you know, and that's a thing that we struggle with, like, right, is that in the heat of the moment when you were trying to convince her or talk with her and you needed an answer, whatever was telling her I'm not ready was her truth. And she can love you and think you're great and know that a life with you would be pretty good and realize, I don't know, man, I'm not ready to be a fucking housewife.
Yeah, I wasn't. You know,
I'm not saying you're pressuring her at all.
Really, that worked up.
Yeah,
right. I wasn't worked up on it either. It was like, okay, that's fine. Like, I'm patient. I have patience.
No, I know, but like, you know,
really
like you said though,
me.
Sometimes a relationship gets to a certain point, and like I think two people act like, you know, like in terms, what are we doing here? We have been dating for 3.5 years. Where is it going? You know, like so there's no wrong answer. Like the only thing that really sucks is that like she just was like too cowardice and too immature to just give you an honest fucking answer and like, I don't know, man, I'm not ready for this type of relationship. And yeah, I think we need some distance. But she didn't have the guts to do it, so you did it for her. And then she took the easy way out
Yeah.
and got a little sloppy, and she wasn't stupid. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying she went to get caught, but like you said, like she went
knew
out,
what she was doing.
she knew what she was doing, and maybe there's a part of her that kind of wants you, you know, maybe she doesn't want to be lying, you know? Like very few people are like narcissistic sociopaths who just don't give a fuck. They just don't, they lack the maturity or the emotional whatever the fuck that like allows them to just say, you know what? Fuck, I'm scared as fuck. I don't know if I'm gonna regret this, but I do know right now I'm not ready. And yeah, we should probably take some real time apart. And I wish I could be friends with you and I wish I could call you every day, but I know that's not fair to you. And we should break up. And I'm really sorry that I made promises to you about getting married to you. And if I, you know, but like, I'm sorry and I fucked up and I know you're going to hate me, but like, this is what I need for myself. And she didn't have the guts to do that. She went to a baseball game instead.
Yep. If she'd have done that, it would have been a different, like, seeing it would have been still sucked, but I guess a lot more like easy to swallow.
Yeah. You don't, honestly, you don't even know that. Honestly, you really don't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you're right. I mean, that's just a hindsight, just your hindsight thought, but it's just the fact of stringing me along, blowing my phone up, blowing my mom's phone up,
Sure.
wondering what I'm doing, all this. And it's like, you know, why do that?
Listen,
Why
that's
do
where
that? And, you
do
know,
yourself a favor by giving her the grace of just saying, honestly, it's like she wasn't capable of it. And you're not making excuses for her because you're not begging for her to take
yeah,
her
no,
back. She had some growing up to do. I was too blind to see it because I had decided that I wanted certain things. And fuck, man, like when we're in love, man, like we kind of bulldoze through things because we want to get our way and like, so I would just give her some grace so you can let go of the anger and the hate or whatever. And because that just keeps you emotionally invested, right? Like that's the shit that like when you're driving,
right.
like you're in your car now, that you just go down this mental rabbit hole and you get fucking angry and you start asking yourself some questions and you're just like, fuck, man, like there was that one time, was she fucking cheating on me then, man? Like, fuck. Honestly, who gives a fuck now? You have your answer. You know that, regardless of the messy details, your girlfriend just wasn't as emotionally ready for what you guys talked about as she claimed to be. And it probably wasn't malicious. She probably thought she did. And she was wrong and maybe a little self-centered and a little immature about it. And she hurt you as a result, but like, she's not a bad person. She's just not your person, especially right now. And this is how you got here. So like, let her figure out her shit, say goodbye to her. If there's a future for you two, I can confidently say it's not in the next year, and she might need to date other guys or whatever, do her thing. And I don't know, maybe in a year you guys run into each other again and maybe she's ready to be like, I was really shitty as a girlfriend to you and I'm really sorry. And I just want to say that. And maybe there's a twinkle in each other's eyes and I don't know, maybe something happens then. But like, I really confidently can say that chances are you guys need some real distance, some real separation, or some real personal closure. And not closure you're going to get from her. That's you just being like, you know what? We are done, and this chapter's over. And if there is a chapter for us in the beginning, that's a chapter that really needs to like play itself out in the future. Because right now, this person needs to figure her shit out. And I can't be here on the sidelines as her friend to help her.
Yeah, another part I want to add in that you could maybe give me some advice on. So, like I told you, I didn't reach out to her, text her, call her, nothing, like nothing at all. And so I ran into her dad, and I was always very close with her dad. And so I just went out. I mean, we were at a golf course, and I ran into him, and I just went up to tell him like, "Thanks for all you did for me. Really appreciated everything you did, and hated that I couldn't, talk to you before all this happened." He has the nerve to basically put his finger in my face telling me to quit disrespecting his daughter, quit making up these lies and rumors. I mean, he went on to tell me that our relationship was over 3 months ago and had the nerve to tell me
that you're in his or you're in
I
hers?
was the problem. Sorry, say that again?
He told you that your and hers relationship was over 3 months ago, or you're in his?
Me and hers.
Yeah.
He said, "I hate to break it to you, but y'all's relationship ended 3 months ago." which, I mean, I didn't see that. I don't know how that's possible, but that he's not making that shit up on his own. I know him
Yeah,
well enough. He's not
that
making that
sucks.
up. That
Yeah,
came from somewhere.
yeah.
And so I went on to talk to him, and he's saying that I'm bad mouthing her, which I'm not. I'm not. I mean, I have friends asking me, "Where's she at? Where's she at?" And I straight up told them she
I mean, you
cheated on
have
me.
the right to be
She cheated
honest.
on me.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And so
But I guarantee you, she
what
does
gets
not
back to
see it that way. You
me,
know what I'm saying? She obviously is operating in semantics.
and you say, you bring up the narcissism thing. I'm not going to be the one to diagnose somebody with that at all, but he certainly has those traits. And what's getting back to me, and genuinely, like, I don't give a fuck what she says at this point. I really don't. But for her to go around telling people that I cheated on her when there's no evidence. I've never cheated on her. I've always been loyal to her. Dragging my name through the fucking mud. I don't care what she's saying, but I do care that it's out there, if that makes
Who
sense.
is she saying it to other than her dad?
All of her friends, and we share a pretty unique circle of friends, so, like, it's pretty obvious what side people are picking. I don't give a fuck what side people pick. I really don't. I mean, I know it really genuinely happened. It's just that it's like,
And what is
one
she
thing I
saying
care
about
about is
you?
my
What
reputation.
is she saying?
She's telling people that I cheated on her, that I treated her like shit, that I was an addict. I mean, I'm not addicted to anything, like, literally anything. I don't do
Right.
drugs. I barely drink socially. I gamble here and there. I mean, I don't know what addiction I would fucking have.
Well,
Like,
I
you could hook me
mean,
up to a lie detector test for all this.
sure.
There's
Listen,
nothing.
I mean,
She went to the fullest extreme to protect herself.
you're getting your answer, man. Like, and listen, you're right. You do yourself no favors by diagnosing her. Like, listen, she's very selfish right now, and
Right.
a lot of 20-something people are, and quite honestly should be. I don't, not this way. Her dad's certainly going to have her
Yeah.
back.
Totally get that.
You're
Yep.
going around telling people she cheated on you, and she's like, this motherfucker broke up with me 2 days before that. I didn't cheat on him. Like, that's her truth. Guarantee it, right? And I get why your truth is very different. You're just like, bro,
Yeah.
we've been going back and forth. You've been my girlfriend for 3 years. This was like another one of your things. And like, regardless if you cheated on me or not, like I don't know what it felt like in the moment. I bet it felt pretty fucking shitty, and you could give some analogy or whatever, but like it hurt you. That's what mattered.
Yeah.
And she knew it would hurt you. And like, semantics
Right.
about cheating or whatever. So like, my advice to you is just stop talking about her, period.
Yeah,
Who
that
gives a
really
shit?
does do a lot.
Who gives
It
a
really
shit?
does.
Who gives a shit what people think anymore about whether you cheated or you're broken up, man. And and if people on a one-on-one situation want to ask you questions, and whether and I understand your reputation matters to you, but like I'm guessing most people don't give a fuck, and I'm guessing most people see this
Yeah.
as messy gossip. And if it doesn't
Correct.
affect your job, and doesn't affect your relationship with your family, or doesn't affect your relationship with your closest friends, then it just don't matter.
Yeah,
And
well, that's what I'm worried about, is it is getting back to my job.
okay,
Not that it's gonna affect me, but people I work with are connected to her family in one way or another, and that's being brought up, and, like, again, not that's where I kinda have a problem. That's why I was saying I don't give a fuck if she tells it to her little friends, whatever, but when it's starting to affect family, close friends, and job, like you said, then it becomes a problem.
well, I mean, I don't know. Do you think it's gotten to the point where you can just like raise the right flag and just be like, listen, man, like I know I haven't talked to you since. Why are you saying some of this stuff? And then maybe she's like, well, you're saying shit about me, and be like, whatever I said and however I feel about the end of our relationship, it really is what it is. But like, just be like, fine, I'll stop. But like, I don't even want to debate with you whether we think, but like, you guys can sit there and debate whether she cheated on you. But if she's literally
Right.
saying out of pocket things like you have an addiction, and you're like, I don't know, I went to the casino a couple times and I got drunk once. You can be like, why are you saying stuff like this with like, why are you trying to hurt me?
Yeah.
Like why? A small silver lining. Maybe this is like her way of getting your fucking attention. Because you blocked her, and I'm not saying you should bring her back into your life, but I don't know. If you really think it's getting to the point where it could affect things that matter, maybe in the gentlest way, you just wave that flag and just say, can we move on from each other's lives? I don't want to be, obviously I'm hurt. I care about you. Like, I don't like how things ended, but like what I don't like, why has it gotten to this point? And can we just stop whatever it is that we think each others are doing, and just not badmouth each other? Do you think
Right.
that we'll
Yeah,
get through to her?
I can do that. I can definitely do that. I mean, I've kinda come to terms with it anyway, and like I said, I've ran into her quite a few times, and I'm prepared to have that conversation. Like you said, I don't wanna debate, I'm not here to argue, but,
Yeah.
like, let's just end it on the most civil terms we can possibly do and just move on. Like you said, I'm tired of fucking talking about it, I really am.
I mean, listen, if you
I think I
were
sent this message in a couple weeks ago,
okay.
so I followed through with it anyway, but, like, I genuinely other than that, like, in the last week, haven't talked about it to
Well, that's good.
anybody
That's
at
good.
all.
That's
Nothing.
good. Well, that's progress. So listen, if you're really
Yeah.
on a path to healing, like the best way to like listen, you reaching out to be clear, like has its purpose. And that purpose is to
Yeah.
diffuse whatever drama so that this, doesn't trickle into like things that actually can affect your life. Like obviously this is affecting your life because it's emotional and she fucked you up, but like it's one thing to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
heartbreak and another thing for it to like bleed into other aspects of your life, right? So you have a purpose here,
Yep.
right? And if your purpose is to just simply diffuse it and nothing else matters, then the best way to connect with her or get through to her is to like honestly tell her what she wants to hear, whatever that is. Like, and you know her best. And maybe I think well, guess what I'm saying is, you attract bees better with honey than with vinegar, right? I'm sure you've heard that saying. And well, I don't think
Yep.
you should say anything to try to get her back. You can say things like, listen, man, like if she says like, "Are you talking shit about me?" Blah blah blah. Don't say because you cheated on me. Just be like, "Yeah, listen, man, I was really heartbroken that our relationship was over, and obviously like there was a lot of hurt, and I'm not trying to point the finger, but we should stop, and just tell her that you're gonna miss her. Tell her that she was a great girlfriend. Tell her that that just compliment her, just like put your ego
Yeah.
aside and just tell her because that shows strength. Like the more emotional, mature person who is above this bullshit is going to just be able to just fucking, I remember like when I was 28 years old, my then fiance cheated on me, right? And she, very similar to like you, there were rumors and like, I don't know what exactly happened, but emotionally, physically, I don't know, some fucking shit went down. That much I know is clear, right? And and then finally it fucked
Right.
me up a little bit. Like we lived in the same town, like, and then I got a new girlfriend. A few months later, she ended up getting engaged to this guy. Then she's out on her bachelorette party, and at that point, I was pretty much over it, healed, and good, right? And then like my then girlfriend was bartending, and like I would always go to her bar when me and my buddies, and it's like, hey, my girlfriend's bartending. I'm gonna go get fucking free drinks and have fun, because I'm not gonna go hit on girls.
Yeah.
I'll just like hang out with my girlfriend while she's bartending, right? And then my ex walks in at her bachelorette party knowing where my then girlfriend works. And I was so chill and so like above it and so like not triggered her because I knew what she was doing. And I was like, oh man, congratulations. I'm really happy for you guys. It's gonna be great. And she just starts crying. Because like she came in to fuck with me and I was like so good and so like, and I was happy for her and she didn't even know how to fucking process it. And I was just
Yeah,
like,
that's wild.
and so just tell her what she wants to hear, man. She is reacting to something you're doing, right? I'm guessing, when
Yeah.
you said like I ran into her, she acts like I don't exist. Do you also act like she doesn't exist?
No, so I did. So backstory, I work out at a gym around the corner from my house, and
Yeah.
she goes every morning to get this, like, nutrition shit, whatever it is. And so, the first day I walked out, she was walking in, and we just, like, looked at each other and turned away. And then a few days later, it happened, I just smiled and waved. So ever since then, I just smile and wave every time. She
Okay.
doesn't
Yeah.
do anything back.
She doesn't
And,
smile or wave.
no. She acts like I did something to her now, So it's like, whatever, but I'm more than emotionally stable and okay to have a conversation with her
All
and be
right. Yeah.
completely fine. I mean,
Be
genuinely.
careful, just I would go in just
Yeah,
knowing that it sounds like I don't know, I don't know what's going on in her head, but like I would be
right,
careful. I would be very self-aware of everything that's going on, don't put yourself in a position where she can make up anything else and just wave that white
correct,
flag and just say, "Listen, like I hate that it's gotten this way. I don't think we should be friends. I care I love you too much to try to be your friend, but I hate that it's gotten to this way. Can we just be like can we wish each other well?" And if you want to if you want to talk about anything, I'm sorry if I blocked you. I'm sorry if whatever. I don't honestly think I hope she doesn't follow through with this, but just try to be someone who's like make her feel guilty about talking shit. Just try to like
100%.
just try to like bring her off that ledge. Just make her feel bad about being mean. Because right now, there's a good chance that this behavior is like trying to get your attention. You know, granted, she said you waved and like, you know, but you wave and smiling, like, I don't know, maybe she sees it as you being a smartass or waving and you're okay. Like she wants something from you. I don't know what it is.
She wants a reaction. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's to the point now where like, I mean, this is kind of irrelevant, but the only social media that I have is LinkedIn just for work reasons. And like, I see her checking it every day now. Like I have it where I can see who views my profile. So she's like, doing that, she's driving out of her way right by my house. This isn't the first time it's happened in the last few weeks. It's like, look, if you wanna stop and have a conversation, like, you fucked me over, but I still, like, I still have no ill will towards
Yeah.
her, you know? Like, I can still
You got a
sit down
little, and
have a
that's okay.
conversation.
You're allowed to. You're a human being. So
Yeah.
I think it's okay. I think you should acknowledge you're still angry. You're not over it.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's only been a month. And I think you could still try to be like, just be honest with her and just try to let go of the anger. Just be like, I am angry, but like, I still fucking love you, even though I don't think we should be together. And it still hurts. And I don't, you know, fuck, man. Like, but like, why are we making our lives even harder than need to be? You know, like, can we just, can we not, you know, like, I don't, you know, just admit it. Like, I don't like, fuck, man. Even if it's not true, just tell her you think about her. It probably is true, but like, you know, this is about self-preservation. But like, if you keep working on yourself, man, and you're really honest with yourself and you make healthy decisions, you'll get through this. And, you know, I don't know where my ex is now these days, but I can confidently say whether it was her or the ex before her or the ex after, like I'm really good or happy with how I made choices versus them. And I'm not saying I'm even a twinkle in their eye anymore. But like, I definitely feel like I won the breakups, you know, and that was because like I dealt with my fucking shit in a way that I, you know, was able to like move on where I didn't like when I did run into them, I felt it. I felt good. I felt emotionally regulated. I could honestly be there for them emotionally without it emotionally affecting me. You're not there yet, right? Like when you're in the relationship, when you were trying to be there for your girlfriend when she was struggling, hard for you to fully be there for her because you're all very confused why she won't move in with you and you're trying to be there for her, but you need her to be there for you. When I was running into my ex-girlfriends, you know, after I had moved on, I didn't need to be there for them anymore. I certainly didn't need them to be there for me, right? I was good, you know, I was fine. I didn't give I knew that as soon as I was saying goodbye to them, I'd be like, whatever. And I'd maybe tell my friend, hey, I ran into so-and-so, but it wouldn't like fucking cannibalize my day. And when you're in that position, you have so much fucking power and you have so much control and like you just feel like above it and you're good and you can, you know, it's a power that you don't want to use because you kind of manipulate, you can manipulate. You feel like this out of body of experience where you recognize like, you know, you in the past would have been all fucked up, but now you can literally say things because you know you're just trying to help her. You're trying to help her get to the place that you're at. And honestly, you don't even mind if she gets over you because, you know, you're not, you know, a lot of people, it's like, I don't want to date you, but I still want you not over me. So, and that's kind of a little bit where she is right now. Like she probably is still enjoying her freedom, but she just wants to know that you're still fucked up over her. So like, give her what she wants.
Oh yeah. Yep.
You know, let her know that you're, you know, an absolute hot mess of whatever and that you're sad, but you don't, you know, I don't know. What you want is this, you want it to not bleed into other healthy aspects of your life.
Correct. That's it. Yep.
All right. Was this helpful?
Yeah, dude, I appreciate it. Seriously.
Cool, man. Well, sorry you're going through this. I relate to you, man. It's, I really think this could be I was around your age when similar shit happened like this to me. And I look back at that time in my life as a very pivotal time in my life. I look back on that life as a time where I think to myself, I actually finally learned who I was as a person, as a man, as an adult. I'm sure you've thought that before, but I promise you, like, you're going to have other periods of your life where you're going to be like, whoa, fuck, man. Like that was, damn, I was stupid when I was 27, you know? You might even say that about 30-year-old you. Like 40-year-old you is going to look back, you know, like you should always be learning. You should always be growing. As if you're a finished product at 27, you're not, you know, you're just a fool. So
Yep.
just keep being willing and being open. Let life happen. Be open to keep your circle healthy. Keep take risk, but make healthy, calculated risks and good choices. Be patient. Shit will work out, man. I promise.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
All right. Take care. Appreciate the call. Always great hearing from our men. It's honestly no different, man. Like, we're all human beings who are just trying to we're all trying to make our life movie the best possible outcome in general, and we're all just figuring it out at the same time. So that's kind of where you're at right now.
Yep, it's a pivotal point, but like you said, a lot of good can happen from this. So looking forward to that.
Absolutely. All right, man. Appreciate the call.
Yep.
If you're down, I'd love an update like in a month from now where things are at.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'll reach back out.
All right. Appreciate you. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, man. Y'all take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. This episode of the Viall Files is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's all about investment, people. You need to invest in your mental health. We get it. Like, you want to look good naked. You want to exercise. I understand. But if you're going to spend that much money on gym memberships and meals and things like that, to be healthy, that's great. But if your mental health is not where it needs to be, what are we doing here, people? It really changes people's lives by getting it out, talking about your anxiety, your problems, things that are just weighing you down. There's nothing I talk about more on this show is being mindful of where your thoughts and energy is going, because it's not unlimited. And we waste so much time ruminating about things that weigh us down. Let that stuff go. Get it out. Talk to a mental health professional, like someone that you can find at BetterHelp. And we get it. Therapy can be inconvenient, it can be expensive, and it can be intimidating. But all those things BetterHelp helps make easier. They're working with new therapists every day to help ensure that you're going to find a therapist that you connect with. And you can keep switching therapists with BetterHelp until you land on a therapist that you feel great about. It's at your convenience. All you really need is a phone, a device, a computer, something to call in. If you can even not even do video to video, if you just want to do voice to voice and you want to keep that anonymity, no problem with BetterHelp. And it's more affordable than in-person therapy. So it really gets away of all those barriers that you've been telling yourself that have stopped you from maybe getting into therapy today. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it's super convenient, and it will change your life. Your well-being is worth it. Visit BetterHelp.com/VIALL today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/VIALL.
The second I got pregnant, I immediately was like, oh my gosh, there is so much about my life that I have to change. Everyone's in your ear saying it's your shampoo, it's your skincare, it's your this, it's your that, what prenatal to take. And thank God I found Ritual. Ritual I had been taking for years before that. I was taking their women's multivitamin. And so I knew immediately that's where I was going to go for my prenatal. And I loved it so much because they are essenced in a citrus or mint. So there's not this weird, gross flavor when you put it in your mouth. I struggled so much because I was sick and I couldn't stomach anything, but I could stomach Ritual's prenatal. And it is because they have a delayed release designed to help make it gentle on an empty stomach. So they keep morning sickness in mind, which I was so grateful for. When it comes to pregnancy and postpartum support, you want products backed by research and transparency. Mom-founded Ritual puts in the work and shows you the proof. Get 25% off your first month for a limited time at ritual.com/VIALL. That's ritual.com/VIALL for 25% off your first month.
How's it going?
I'm great. My name is Hannah, and I am 34 years old.
How can I help, Hannah?
I don't know how to handle my twin sister's affair.
Okay, your twin sister. Are you guys identical? Not that that matters. I'm just...
No, we're not identical, but we are extremely close.
Okay.
Probably just about as close as twins can be.
Where are we in the affair process? Is it ongoing? Who knows about it? Give me the deets. So what are we dealing with here?
To my knowledge, they started the affair sometime early last summer. I think it was building a little bit before then. My sister actually left her husband for this guy.
Okay.
And then she went back to her husband. And my understanding was that they had broken up, but then, because she confides in me, they got back together, then they broke up again, then they got back together. So
who's breaking up and getting back together? Her and her husband?
Oh, sorry.
Her
She and the affair partner.
Okay. And how much, if any, did the husband know about the back and forth?
He had his suspicions, but they've been together for so long that it just it couldn't be true.
So does he know anything yet? Like, does he know why she left him?
Now he knows, yeah. Now he knows that, she had an affair. He hopes and believes and is telling himself that it is over.
But it's not.
I think it's over, in a lot of ways, but I think that, they work together, and I think that there's still a lot of, like, wink, wink, but, like, you're still my love kind of, like, situation going on.
And what's the other person's situation?
The affair partner, um, so they're coworkers. He is, he's been divorced several times. He, is much, much older. I've met him, not a cool guy, and he had a long-term girlfriend that he broke up with for my sister
And
when
what
they,
is your sister have kids or anything like that?
Nope,
No
no
kids.
kids, not yet. They were planning on doing that soon, but this put a wrench in everything.
Okay. Well, how long have they been married for?
They've been married for they would have had their anniversary in their 5th anniversary in December, but they've been together since my sister was 19. That's, like,
Mm,
her only, person she's ever had.
interesting. They never got divorced though. They just separated.
They separated, and now they're, like, I'll tell you all about it. Now they're, she's sort of moved back in, and, it's very messy.
So what do you say to your sister right now? Like, what's your relationship status with her, and like, how open do you guys talk about this?
Open, so open, too open. It's a huge burden on me. She told me in the beginning, before I knew that it was going to become a full-fledged affair, she told me, that she had, in a fit of passion, slept with someone else. So this would have been just the second person she's ever had sex with. She's only ever been with her husband. And I, didn't want to panic or freak out, even though I'm pretty tight with my brother-in-law. I don't know, didn't know how to act. So she told me, yeah, and I kind of, let it go, like let it be like, okay, well, you keep that a secret. Then it happened again, then it happened again. And by the end of last summer,
Why'd you tell her to keep it a secret?
because my sister and I have such a strange bond, which is kind of like, no matter what, we were there for each other.
What is there for each other mean to you?
When you can't count on anyone else to not judge you, to not punish you, to not whatever, like, it's just your open ears, and that's always been our relationship. So, I wasn't going
So,
to.
question, I guess, like so here's what I'm hearing from you.
Mm,
Like you said, like you and your obviously twin sister, not surprisingly, are very close, very connected. And like you said, your relationship is unique, and there's this kind of unspoken or maybe sometimes spoken bond that you guys are always there for each other, and there for each other means you guys can tell each other secrets and without judgment or shame, or simply just listen without offering any criticism, critiques, or tough love or hard advice. You're just simply there to listen, accept, I guess in some ways validate and approve of things even if you don't. Would that be accurate?
well, that's like, my gosh, yeah, nail on the head, with that.
Yeah, and I understand obviously you calling because your feelings internally have changed, but you're grappling with how to relay that message to your sister, right? That's what I'm hearing.
I'm grappling with how, I mean, I've been, our relationship has changed, especially in recent months, and even just as immediately as, when I wrote in. But, what I'm grappling the most with is, recent, kind of like, beginning, about a month or 2 ago of just disgust and anger, with my
Sure.
sister, and I'm worried that I won't ever be able to, rebuild that kind of, relationship with her.
Okay, well, that's certainly a valid concern, but I don't know if we're quite there yet. But I guess my question to you is, and maybe, it's just a bit rhetorical because obviously you're communicating your problem. But like, how do you feel like this dynamic with your sister has helped your relationship with her as you both have gotten older in adult life? And how has that relationship and that dynamic helped you guys as individuals being each other's closest confidant?
I think it's helped her a lot, and I've done a lot of reflecting on this lately.
You
I
think it's
don't think it's
helped?
helped me much.
Well, how, and
I
again, I'm not here to judge either of you in terms of like how you've helped each other, but like, do you think it's helped her? If you are her closest support system, confidant,
Mhm.
And again, I'm in no way blaming you, but like
Mhm.
she has come to you, and over the course of, sounds like this has been going on over a year, over a course of a long extended period of time, she is operating in a way that you very much don't approve of. It's affecting your relationship. From an outsider looking in, she is blowing up her life. And now maybe her current husband and her high school sweetheart or whatever,
Mm.
maybe they're just like not each other's person long term. And that's definitely a possibility. But whatever she decides, she's clearly going about it in the most toxic way that is not only affecting her immediate relationship with a person that, regardless of whether she wants to spend the rest of her life with him, she is hurting this man in ways that, like, we currently don't know the damage that she is doing or will have done to this man, his psyche, his emotional health, his ability to move on, heal, whatever. Like, she's only giving a fuck about herself. And it's gotten to the point where right now you are afraid that your relationship with your sister may never be the same going forward. So again, repeating that question, how do you feel like this current dynamic has helped her? I mean, because you're not a therapist,
Um,
right? Like, she doesn't pay you to give her
no.
therapy, and she's not paying you for her mental health. But like, and but like, clearly you listen and you're there for her. And I'm sure she gets things off her chest, but it is not resulting in her making healthy decisions for herself or her relationship with you or her relationship with her husband. And so, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah, totally.
in my mind, this relationship dynamic isn't serving either of you, right? And it's become a bit, well intentioned, no less. But I don't know. To me, being there for people, especially in adult life, requires more than just this understanding that we will simply we will listen without any shame or judgment. You're a human being, so you can promise your sister all you want that you won't judge her, and you may do your best to hide how you feel, but you are judging her, right? You internally, and whether your sister knows that or not, or feels that or not, it is happening. And so you are, in a way, not being honest with your sister either about how you feel about her actions. And so now you have this dynamic where you've kind of agreed to just listen without judgment, but like ultimately you're judging her inside. You're feeling more and more disconnected from your sister, and again, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're looking for answers of how to approach this, right? Because I'm guessing you feel like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And like, here you have this dynamic with your sister, this relationship, this understanding, this unspoken bond with your twin sister. And then she's also like making these choices, and you feel like, well, what do I do? Do I completely change the dynamic, or, do I address this, or how do I handle that? And I'm here to say, like, this dynamic has stopped working for you guys as you guys have grown into adulthood, and discovered yourselves and realized maybe things that you want. Clearly, your sister is discovering herself into her early 30s as someone who's been with one man her whole life. And while I empathize with like how that might be affecting her, these feelings, she's clearly making choices and covering for her choices and justifying her choices. And she has you aiding and abetting her choices. While you don't necessarily want to be doing that, that sounds like what you're doing. And that has indirectly caused you two to become further apart. And so I think when you look at it that way, I hope that makes you feel less obligated to this dynamic that you are worried about changing.
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. And the fact of the matter is that, I mean, things have changed. Like now I mean, the last weeks and months, probably especially since the last like month or so, since she's moved back in with her husband, she still comes to me with some of the same problems she came to me about before. And now I'm giving like, I mean, I feel so mean to her. I'm telling her what's what. I'm telling her everything. She's like, she doesn't have that in me anymore. And furthermore,
What
out of
are
just
you telling her
desperation.
right now?
So she keeps saying that she's ended all contact with the affair partner with whom she works. They're both school teachers together in a small school. They're both
Yeah,
history teachers, and he's one, door
yeah,
down.
yeah.
So she has sworn on like a stack of Bibles a million times it's over. And then in a moment of like, panic, she'll tell me, well, it's over. But also like he did, there was like this kind of like whisper of like, but just like, I'm going to work things out with him maybe, but then we'll see in the future, kind of like this subterfuge and who knows. So I've just been very, very, very angry at her, very like verbally angry at her. And one important thing to note is that since about January, I've been speaking on the phone with my brother-in-law, her husband, just about every day as kind of like his a confidant as they kind of like get back together. And I've never felt closer to him. I've never felt, more of a responsibility to him. I am more aware, I think, than my sister is of his pain, without like in the immediate with it, they have their communication's terrible with me. I've been like this kind of translator between the two of them. My boyfriend thinks that I'm like, I mean, it's like it's almost like I'm like trading, international like stocks or something. I'm just like constantly on the phone with one, then the other.
And do either of
I've
them know that?
mediated meetings between. They both know that. They both know that I am like, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they both know that I'm like the third party in this crazy like threesome of reconciliation. I mean, it's wild. I mean, like right now, I just got a text from him, like any news, any word, like here's what I feel today.
Is he in therapy? Are they in therapy?
Before they separated, they started therapy, but it was really just a means for my sister to tell him what's what and that they were going to separate. And now that they're kind of like, they're living together again, and by all, official like accounts, they're getting back together. They are together again. They go like twice a week now to the same therapist,
Okay.
and they've had a lot of good like breakthroughs and stuff. But it's just, it's a lot of my brother-in-law expressing like, what the fuck, you hurt me so much. Like this is what, like even before I found out about the affair, you were so cruel and distant, and I didn't know. And then it's her just being like, everyone's mad at me. So it's just like my opinion of her, my respect for her, I mean, I'm just so tight with
Is
him
your
now.
sister in individual therapy?
Oh, no, no. I mean, she meets with their couples therapist individually. I think like once every week or every 2 weeks they both do, and then they come together. It's like part of like the
Sure. Okay. I don't know.
procedure for how they're doing it, but it's not, but it's still part of the couples therapy and
Gotcha.
not like her own.
Gotcha. Yeah, it sounds like maybe your sister has a lot to unpack as an individual, maybe. I mean, like she's obviously acting like the victim in a situation where she's the destroyer. Like well, what can I help you with? Like where are you at?
Yeah. So yeah, I figured you would ask that because usually when it's like this, messy, that's the question you ask. But my biggest concern is that I want to, which is just because it's my own shit. But my biggest concern is making sure that love and respect my sister again in the future. Trying to, even though she's doing a bad thing, because, as we know, like people do bad things and it doesn't have to, and now that I'm so involved, it's harder for me to, feel that way. And also, I just really need her to focus on her relationship with her husband or not, or break up and leave me out of it.
Does
So these are questions that it almost feels
she
like
Yeah.
breaking a twin bond, like a pact we've always had where I have to be like, no, this time for the first time in our big years, like I can't do this anymore. It's killing me.
Well,
It's
that was kind of what was coming to mind. My question I was going to ask you was like, how often have you really told your sister no?
next to never,
Well,
next to never.
sometimes, listen, I have a young daughter. She's 13 months. Love her unconditionally. I don't know. Not that it's a competition, but I bet I love her just as much as you love your sister, right? And like part of loving my daughter, is I'm gonna have to tell her no, lots of times.
Yeah.
The whole like, oh, she'll give me the eyes and whatever, but like,
Mhm. Right.
saying no to someone doesn't mean you don't love them.
I feel like to her, it almost would. And
Well,
that's
that's
my,
her problem. But I'm
yeah.
telling you objectively, regardless of what you think or what your sister thinks, it's a fact that you can love someone deeply, care about them deeply, and tell them no. And I think it's a little toxic
Mhm.
for anyone to think otherwise. And if you feel like you can't show love to someone you say no to, then something about that relationship is wrong or needs to be fixed. or broken?
Her therapist, my brother-in-law told me, because that's like, yeah, again, like I'm so involved that I know things my sister doesn't know that he said, and my brother-in-law doesn't know that she said. It's all like this like crazy like
Yeah.
game of telephone. But he told me that it came out in therapy that, the therapist believes that our relationship is in a certain way a little bit too intimate, and that, it's also kind of like,
Whose relationship? You and your sister, or you and your brother-in-law?
oh, sorry, my relationship with my sister, and or her, basically her relationship with me, rather, I want to clarify
Sure.
that.
Well, it's your relationship with
And
each
that
other.
whereas her relationship should that her intimate relationship, her most intimate relationship should be with him, and maybe
Yeah.
never was, and like, certainly isn't now. So I just thought that was interesting that that's what the therapist said.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, there's something going on with your relationship the more you talk about it that seems off to me. Well-intentioned, no less, but like off.
Mhm.
And like not serving either of you. And now here you are playing therapist. You're not a therapist, and you can be a good friend and certainly a great sister and a good sister-in-law. And you can have the best intentions, but like also be careful, right? I'm sure you feel it too. You feel too involved, too lost. You're like not sure what side you're on, if you're on any side at all. You're connecting with your brother-in-laws in ways that honestly your sister should probably be connecting with. It's just all very confusing. Not to mention, I can't imagine that you said you have a boyfriend. Like this is gonna this is a virus, a toxic virus that just spreads like a disease, you know?
Yeah.
And you are
Yeah, and
you've caught the cold, so to speak. And so again, you can be well intentioned, but like you are caught up in this. You are part of this drama. And I think you need to be very careful, as well as tension. And, and like, obviously that's why you're calling in, you're asking for help. I commend you for doing that. But like, my advice is just also be careful. I think you need to start setting some healthy boundaries with both of them, more
yeah,
specifically
I
your
mean, they
sister.
actually my brother-in-law invited me to attend, just because I'm already like so involved anyway, and I come up in every conversation that they have with their therapist. They invited me to come to therapy a few times with them, which was kind of like when I reached out to you. But I know that, as I said it in my, when I wrote in too, aside from the obvious boundary issues, my twin sister is she's been the things she's done, the things she continues to do every day. I'm saying this in kind of like the stupid internety way, but I'm like narcissist, like,
Yeah, sure.
and no empathy, no, like, like absolutely nothing. Like she will like fall on her knees crying about how her affair partner must be feeling right now. And then when I see her with her husband, as she like I helped her move back some stuff the other day out of like her apartment that she was renting. She was like begrudgingly, I had to like make her move that stuff. She was crying all over herself. We brought in like 3 Tupperware things. So then, and like she walked in the door, placed it on there, kind of just like, "I'm here. No, no, everything's fine, everything's fine." And then he and I did our best to like make like like, some levity, some small talk or something, but just like she can't even she's like just the cruelty. And it's not even just like I'm not calling in to help them. She can call in, someday to talk about how her relationship is. But just like I watch that and my jaw is on the ground, and I'm just like, and there's nothing like the cruelty, the just the obvious lack of empathy. And when I speak to my brother-in-law about it, I can't even deny it. I'm just like, this is not someone we've ever known to be so cold. And I just, if I don't I've always felt, since I was a child, and especially, after we went to different colleges and stuff like that, with our like little our bond has always been like such an institution, like a pillar in my life. Like I don't have more I don't have my sister, I don't got shit, and now I'm just like, like,
When was the last time
I
you?
don't know that I see her the
Sure.
same ever
Yeah. Yeah.
again,
Yeah. I feel.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know your sister. I don't know you very
Yeah.
well. This is obviously a bump in the road. That's for sure. I think I'm sure you heard me say it's just like there have been, not maybe to that degree. We've all had times and periods in our life where we're going to look back and be ashamed of the person we were, and maybe that's just bouts of narcissism, selfishness, self-centeredness. Sometimes we just, get so caught up in our own bullshit that we come across to many people like your sister seems to be coming across to you.
Right.
And again, definitely not a therapist. And I'm not even in a position, even if she was here, I'm not in a position to diagnose, but like, I don't know. I'm going to just go ahead and bet that like your sister didn't magically become a narcissist, right? And that like it's
Mhm.
not as if right now you're looking back at your entire relationship and like for the first time ever seeing your sister in a whole new way and realizing that since the age of like 10, she's kind of been the narcissist, and she's like some sociopath or whatever. That doesn't seem to be the case, right? So she's going through something and, certainly demonstrating narcissistic, she's only caring about herself. So listen, I'm optimistic that she can work through this, but to work through it, you two might have to go through some periods of major reform. And that might require you to you said, if I don't have my sister, well, who am I? What you like, this is also an opportunity for you to rediscover yourself as an individual. I don't know what it's like to be or twin or have a twin or that bond. And I have no doubt it's very special and something that you two have that most people who aren't twins don't have. That is not an excuse
Yeah.
to look the other way or ignore bad behavior because you guys have such a bond that you need to basically be there to enable each other and approve of bad behavior in the spirit of being close. You might have to say, I don't know who you are anymore. I don't like who you've become right now. I believe in you as a person. I'm glad you're working through this, but like I'm no longer going to listen and approve of things. And if you want to be in my life, you get ready to start hearing exactly how I feel. I will always unconditionally love you, but I definitely do not like who you are right now. I don't like what you've become. I don't approve of it. You can say things like, I don't know. I don't know how direct you want to be, but you have to, without name calling and trying to hurt her, you have to start being honest with her.
You just made me think of something too, actually. So when we were really young, or not even really young, even just like whatever, 5 years ago or something, I went through a series of like really hard things. I was always the one who like, as soon as I could, I moved, internationally. I did my own thing. I was away, I was like kind of like living on the phone with my family for a long time. With my sister, it was all the time. I went through horrible like long-term relationships, like things that were, abusive, things that were really dangerous, things that weren't right for me, just like pretty dark stuff. And even though I spoke to her about it all the time, she knew every single one. It was just almost kind of like this, facade of just like, encouragement, kind of just blatant, like, she never once gave me tough love or tried to, or, who out to save me, or demanded that she never did that, because it was kind of like, to her, that was going against the, if I didn't want to do it, then, screw that. That's actually just you talking about that, kind of just, that was the first time that popped into my brain to think about, like, as a comparison.
I mean,
Like,
listen,
she was never there for me that
yeah,
way. We
in
just,
my
yeah.
opinion, and this is
Uh-huh.
more about friendships rather than, brother
Yeah.
or sister relationship dynamic. But I know there's
Uh-huh.
a lot of friends out there, and I see it more with women than I do with men.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of friendships out there, when you break it down, the thing they're most there for each other is to keep each other's secrets.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of ladies, or I've met a handful of ladies that like have friendships like that. And that's what they value most about the relationship. When you break it down, they're there just to like, they have that one friend who pulls some shit now and then, and they can go to, because everyone kind of needs to tell like one person, even if they're doing things they don't totally like about themselves, because they want to find someone who can like
Mhm.
kind of justify their choices and their excuses, and things like that, But I don't know. To me, that's not a friendship, and
Yeah.
or and so it sounds to me
Yeah, it's
like a
like
lot.
someone who won't bother you, someone who won't tell mom or won't tell whatever, so that,
Yeah.
like, things
Here
have
you are talking
disruption, kind
about
of.
toxic
Yeah.
relationships, borderline dangerous relationships that you were a part of, and your sister knew every ounce of it, every truth of that relationship, and did nothing about it other than just make you feel like heard.
And even validated. Like, if I say, "But it's fine," it's like, "Yeah, damn straight it's fine," you know,
Yeah.
"Slay,
Like,
twin,
like
you're the best," That's what she,
and, and
yeah.
and honestly, it's like almost as now she's like cashing in
Mhm.
her chips as I was there for
Right.
you when you were making your self-centered, selfish, or self-destructive choices. Maybe they weren't even self-centered. Maybe they were coming from a place of pain or whatever. But like
Mhm.
whatever the reason, she now feels like you're supposed to accept her choices.
Right.
And so to me, you're right. Like, you can't fix your sister. You can't fix them. You know, you can try to be there for them, I think, with limitations. But you have gone so far, you know, like they're inviting you to therapy. I
Yeah,
mean, that
it's all,
alone,
yeah. It's,
like,
and as Abby said, and for both of them, and I know like this is, I'm not gonna just like add on another question. That's not how it works. But it's also like it's been so destructive to my relationship with my boyfriend. We lived together. We've lived together for, a long time. He knows everything. I like, I tell like, and he is just such a, more of like a, Nick Viall kind of, just kind of like, he sees it as it is without the like well, it's not his twin, so he's not gonna, so his just like his, it's all I can do to keep him from when she comes over like in the middle of the night to cry in my arms. He's like, it's all he can do to just be like, twin, like what the hell? Like just like what are you doing? This is all like my partner thinks about, lives, breathes, like works, leaves work to talk to you, like takes a call from you when we're on, a Valentine's date, like or when we're on a trip and
but yeah, like you got to
like
stop that.
yeah,
It's toxic. It's
yeah,
unhealthy. It's not
yeah,
productive. And that's a you
right,
problem.
100%.
Are you in therapy?
I've that's actually really interesting because that you asked that because I've done therapy. I'm not currently in therapy. I'm changing careers. I'm going to mental health, a clinical mental health counseling graduate school program in the fall,
Awesome.
which I think is yeah. So it's just really interesting 'cause I'm fascinated by it. I think like could be something I could be good at there, but
Yeah, potentially. But like right
but it's
now,
just
like this is not
ironic. It's
the,
ironic because I'm not
yeah,
in therapy currently. I just always been like,
sure. I
oh, it
mean,
didn't work in the first 2 months. I'm out of here.
or maybe you just need to
I
find
do
it.
listen to a lot of,
Maybe you need to
which I kind
find a
of always
different.
feel like a
Sure,
little bit
but
like
maybe you need to
therapy.
find a different therapist. Like maybe it's like doctors are different, mechanics are different. You don't just start with one, give it a couple of shots, and then quit if it doesn't like
Yeah.
help. But clearly, you have a lot to unpack. Like therapy, and also therapy isn't the end all be all. I do think sometimes people can over therapize themselves. I think sometimes you need like therapy. Sometimes you might need to take breaks from it. Maybe you need to find a new gym, so to speak, a new trainer. A new therapist. Like it's not like are you? I'm not saying are you in therapy as if like it's the end all be all, but clearly you have a lot to unpack and work through and discuss, and it's affecting you in your life and your relationships, and you're not seeing the forest through the trees. You can't even set healthy boundaries with your sister, let alone enforce them, and it's affecting your life.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, without like breaking it down and giving you some sort of fake therapy session, like yeah, the short answer is
Mhm.
you need to make some drastic changes in your life when it comes to your relationship with your sister and your brother-in-law. If I were you, I would kind of cut it off. I would, reach out to both of your sister and brother-in-law and say, I can't keep doing this. I can't be your guys' therapist. And you can let your brother-in-law know, like, listen, like I'm saying the same thing to her. I'm not trying to leave you on an island. And you can give him your last bit of advice that you might have, which is like, I don't know, like he needs to be open to leaving her, in my opinion. The fact that she still works with this until she stops working with this guy, it's never going to be over.
Oh my gosh, I'm so actually amazed that you just said that because that's like one of the
I mean,
biggest
it's
things.
common
And
sense.
I've been like so for on her for weeks. I was like, no, because she's been like she's about to get tenure. It's kind of like an important school. Whatever, whatever. And she'll just get into a panic, like a hysteria, like, no, 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 no. I just could like, I've worked so hard to be here. And my brother-in-law is just like, I mean, and he was, I mean, at first he was just like, I mean, maybe you can, but now since so like their reconciliation has gone just about as bad as it could go because she's sketchy. She's sketchy, sketchy. But
How old is your
so
brother-in-law?
a few years older he's like 3 years older. So I think he's like, 37, 38, something like that.
All right. Well, he's not that old yet. So
Yeah.
if I'm
And
his
he's also
friend,
a cat. He's like
yeah,
tall, super educated, hilarious. Like I love
yeah.
spending time with him.
If
I'm
I'm his
like, I
friend,
would love to find
yeah, if I'm his friend, I'm telling him to listen, like people, sadly, this shit happens. Relationships have to deal with it. Like there's literally a million different types of affairs from emotional to physical and everything in between. And like,
Mhm.
like, listen, like sadly, it is a reality that relationships have to face. But like, when it comes to this aspect of it, now that like the cat's out of the bag and the person knows it's happened and they're like on the fence between like, do I work through this and forgive and yada, yada. But your sister currently is just like, what she's doing to him is like, honestly, to me, like 100 times worse than the initial act itself. Now she's just
Totally.
fucking torturing this guy,
He agrees.
you know? And like what she's doing is honestly kind of evil and bullshit.
The affair partner, who I've met, he could have been anybody. I mean, my sister has never, I mean, like, I always tell her, I was like, so you literally just decided to throw your life away and fall in love with almost like the first man that you've ever been any kind of close with at all in any capacity. He is 57. I've met him. He's a barfly.
It doesn't matter.
He's been divorced many times. He is I mean, he's kind of like the king of the bar, you know, that kind of charisma. Like everyone likes to have a laugh with him. He drove me somewhere once. We were all going to a wedding, and the affair partner wasn't going to the wedding, but and in like the back seat there were like just like empty beer cans from the night before. Like
yeah, but listen, here's the thing.
He's like
it doesn't matter. I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't.
He's not even good.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. Does it? What?
I'm
But
sorry.
but like, you know, who cares? Like, what if he was? I mean, first of all, I know he's not a great guy given like the role he's playing in this relationship. Doesn't mean he's not a bad guy.
Yeah.
But like, does it matter? It doesn't matter. Let's say he was a Harvard grad and had zillions of dollars and he was slightly better looking than your brother-in-law. Does it change anything? Would you be like, oh, well, I guess he's a bit of a catch, so now I understand your choices, sister?
What would change is that I wouldn't keep coming to like this weird realization about my sister, which is like, it doesn't matter who it was. This isn't even real. It's all about you and you're like, you know, you're
It doesn't
selfish.
He doesn't need a piece of shit to know that.
He loves feeling wanted by someone. And that's how shallow it is. And it was enough to throw somebody she's been with since we were 19 away. Like, that's scary. It wasn't even like there's no part of me that believes that this was love. It was about her feeling appreciated.
Once again, like
celebrated.
you're you know, clearly, I mean, it's your twin sister, so I get it. But this is how toxic this has become for you, and you're not even capable of giving good advice. You're trying to understand it. It's affected you. It's changed how you see things. You're so close to your sister, like you're trying to justify it for your sister in a weird way.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Like, I think you just have to you have to simplify this, not make it more complicated. But like, you are so fucking caught up in this that you are just so like, it's become your whole identity.
Damn, Nick, you saying that makes so much man, that seems really true. And that had not occurred to me until right now. Damn. Okay. Well, that's so lame. I'm so lame.
It's not. I mean, it's not lame, you know, it's just, it's understandable. Right? Like, you know, anyone listening, you don't have to be a twin. We've all heard the stories about connections with twins, right? No, you don't have to be a twin to like understand that this must be a very painful and difficult situation for you, that you have the absolute best intentions. But like, you need to recognize, whether it's through me or a therapist or a friend that's kind of like here to like grab you by the shoulders a little bit and kind of shake you a little bit and say, you got to stop.
Yeah.
You can't save your sister, and you can't save your relationship with your sister on your own. I don't care that you guys are twins. It's whether it's a brother, a sister dynamic, sister, parent-child relationship, you can only do 100% of your half to make this relationship work, and your sister is responsible for her half. And right now, you're trying to do all of yours and most of hers because she's this broken bird who blah, 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 blah. And like, that's just like, you're not doing you or your sister or that relationship any good because you can't make up for the lack of work that the other person needs to do. And this is just my humble opinion. This is not medical. And I don't know, maybe there's someone smarter than me who's going to say I'm wrong, but I just don't think there's exceptions to that rule in terms of temporarily, sure. Like, listen, we all have to be there for people. Sometimes we have to step up when people are down. When our partners get sick, we do more chores around the house. You know, when Nallie's not feeling well, you know, I try to step up and vice versa. But for extended periods of time, like, that's not sustainable, right? And right now, you are trying to like do all the work for hell, you're doing the work for her marriage, let alone your relationship with her.
Yeah, that's
and you got to stop. You just have to stop. And like, this won't get any better until you finally set some healthy boundaries with your sister for your relationship and your brother-in-law and just stop. not let your sister come over in the middle of the night, not let her call, stop taking her calls. You can give her the heads up. Things are going to drastically change. And then you have to follow through and enforce that and hope that this is a wake-up call and that losing her sister will be maybe a way for her to change. I doubt she sees it right away. I'm sure she'll kick and scream and throw a fit and say a bunch of mean things that hurt your feelings. But she is just going to have to work through it because this is clearly some kind of like childhood temper tantrum. And listen, I empathize with her. You had a different path. You experienced life in your 20s and she got hitched up and she played house all through her 20s. And it probably was fun and good. And like she felt that probably there were times in her relationship with her now husband where she felt like she was the most in love person from her high school. And that while her sister was struggling with her relationships, she was in love and happy. And you've heard me make jokes to all the people who are like, calling in and, all my friends are in love and dating. And I'm like, well, half of them will be divorced in 5 years anyways. And now your sister, you know what I'm saying? And now the dynamic has changed, but now your sister is blaming her decisions in the past to justify her decisions in the present. And you are complicit. You are an accomplice. You're like the person who like, it's as if, let's say sweet boy Justin, who's sitting right here, was like, came up to me, called me up. He's like, Nick, there's this bank I want to rob. Have all the plans. I know I'm going to do it. I'm like, Justin, I don't know if that's a really good idea. I think that's kind of bad. It's also illegal. You get in a lot of trouble. And I keep saying the same thing. I never agree to it. I never condone it. But like, I show up to the bank with him. And while he's robbing the bank, I'm like, are you sure you want to do this? I don't think you should do this. And he brings the bag out, puts the cash in the bag. And all the while, I'm like, I think you should not do this, man. And then like, you know what I'm saying? Like you would still get arrested. I would still get arrested. I'm an accomplice. And that's literally what you're doing with your sister.
Damn.
It's like you're just along for the ride. And like you're like the angel on her shoulder that's like kind of allowing her, not allowing her, but you're not really stopping her. You're just like, I don't know if you should do that. Like, I think that's wrong. But like you're showing up to the scene of the crime and hanging out with this guy, getting to know this other fucking guy for whatever reason. You're just doing crazy shit that you shouldn't be doing.
That all of that is such a, yes, that's also true. And what you just said right now about the even getting to know the other guy, like kind of like doing in every like cell of my body, like implicitly, explicitly, like condoning everything. And at this point now, it's been so long. What you said to me like a few minutes ago about like making it my thing to be doing this, like that really hit me like a ton of bricks just now.
Well, I mean, listen,
Like
it's something to do.
Like it's my like once this is over, I'm so involved and it's been so long and it's been changing, but it's always fucking terrible. I'm going to have to like pay attention to my boyfriend, get a hobby. Like,
I mean, I would get a therapist. I would get a therapist and unpack this in therapy because you can't unpack it with your boyfriend over and over. You're going to exhaust him and you're going to exhaust your friends. And quite honestly, sometimes that's what a therapist is for. You pay a stranger who like knows, who's trained in this stuff, to kind of hear you out, let you vent so that you don't like cannibalize your meaningful relationships with shit that's just like toxic and you ruminate and you say over and over and you don't realize how much of a broken record you sound like and just how animated you get when you talk about this. Listen, you're invested, you're useful, you're necessary, you're needed. These are all things that as human beings we crave in any type of relationship. And the problem sometimes, as is the case in your relationship, they manifest in forms of like toxicity. And while even though like the feeling of being needed and necessary are inherently good feelings, they're coming out in ways that aren't really healthy. And yet and that's what's motivating you to like stay in it, right? But you have to see that. You have to rise above it. You kind of have to have an outside body of experience and see what you're doing, recognize it, and not justify your choices by how you feel in the moment, right? Because that's what we do, right? I'm glad that as a society, we've been more mindful about what we say and do and how it affects other people's feelings and things like that. But like we have gone too many steps further and using all of our feelings as a way to justify choices, period. And as long as it makes us feel good and doesn't cause us to quote unquote hurt other people, somehow that's a good thing. And that's just not reality. As encased by like your situation now, because you have these feelings of feeling needed and feeling necessary and feeling like you're helping. And these are all good things, but yet you're not. helping, and it's again, like, it's a very toxic situation, and you've been pulled into the toxic situation and you can't get out of this. And so instead of continuing to feel needed, necessary, and helpful, you simply just need to stop, and you need to set that boundary, enforce that boundary, and let your sister work her shit out. And certainly you can be there for her, but being there for her needs to change and needs to, be like, yeah, I mean, listen, if you're like, honestly, if your life's on the line or whatever, I'm not going to be there for you in the way that you used to me being there for you. I'm not going to listen to your bullshit. I'm not going to be your alias. I'm not going to be your partner in crime. I'm not going to be there while you choose to make these destructive choices. And you can be mad at me, but like, this is, we're not 19 anymore. I'm not 23, and just because you had my back in this way 5 years ago, I'm not going to have your back in this way now, because we were wrong for doing that, and it's not leading to healthy choices. Our life right now is worse because of this situation. Our life around us, my relationship with my boyfriend, your relationship with your husband, it's all worse because of this toxic situation, and I refuse to be brought down with it.
That is also true, and I just keep, like, you really did, like, I don't know, I feel like I got kind of bowled over before, thinking about the meat of everything with, like, when I do that, when I tell you, when I do what you and I are agreeing that I should do, there's going to be a big emptiness that I'm
Yeah.
going to have to fill with, like, my own shit, and that, man, I've talked about this so much with so many people, and like that, I don't know. I don't think I really became super cognizant of that being some like fear of mine until today. So,
Well, maybe there's a little bit of a breakthrough, but like, listen,
man,
it's going to be a tough journey.
yeah.
It will be harder before it's easier.
Mhm.
But, you got to think of, the good news, like, this is your sister, right? So I don't know how long both of you have on this earth, but like, let's just assume it's a bit. You're both really young, and you have to think about your life together, not what your life is next week with your sister. You got to think about like life 10 years from now, because maybe your brother-in-law will be in it, maybe he won't, but she'll still be your twin sister. If you have, I bet you'd be willing to sacrifice a handful of months or even years if that meant that you and your sister could be closer than ever for the rest of your lives.
Or
But she needs to figure her shit out, and you have to stop being her accomplice.
this is really helpful. Yeah, you're the only person I've spoken about this who wasn't at least somehow like laterally involved, like either in like my life or hers. So like that was, I think, an important thing for me in thinking about it.
If I were you, I would start looking for a therapist. I would give it a shot and be picky, right? Like, it might take you a while before you find a really good therapist. In the meantime, even a bad therapist will hear you out
Mhm.
and let you just unload on them instead of unloading on your boyfriend, unloading with your sister or some other friend, and hopefully you'll get some good advice. But you need to know, regardless of what your next therapist, good or bad, or how you connect with them, that like, you don't need a therapist to know that you probably need to stop this type of behavior, and you need to distance yourself from this toxic situation, and you need to set some healthy boundaries with your sister. And setting healthy boundaries with anyone is never a bad thing, even though, again, like I always say, like, I don't care if it's your twin sister or a coworker, setting a boundary with someone is limiting their access to you. And you usually do that when their access to you has become toxic. And no one likes a boundary set
Mhm.
for themselves, because whatever they're getting from you, they like it and they want more of it. And that's why you feel compelled to set a boundary, because they now expect it. They feel entitled to it. And that's why usually we have to set boundaries and say, no, you can't have this anymore. And no one in the history of the world has been like, oh yeah, okay, cool, I'll start.
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe sometimes people realize they've been getting like something for free for too long, and they're just waiting for someone to like send the receipts. But like usually it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah. Well, damn. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Um,
anytime.
this was big for me. I thought the conversation was gonna go such a different way, and it was gonna be more just like me dishing about my sister and like all the nuances of like their torrid affair. And you didn't. That was like not what you wanted, and this was actually what I needed. I
I mean, I
needed
can't help your
help with.
sister. She's
So
not here.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
I know.
So
I know. I know. I really appreciate you, Nick, and that. Thank you so much for talking to me.
my pleasure. And certainly, like, obviously, from an entertainment standpoint, fascinating story. We're very invested, but like, very, very relatable, and we appreciate you opening up. Would certainly love an update. Now, I don't want an update so that you can, talk about it. But if there is a real update and some meaningful change, we would love to hear about it, because obviously, whether it's a twin sister or a sibling, shit like this is far more common than people want to acknowledge or realize. And there's always something we can learn from it. So like, if you make some healthy progress, one way or the other, whether it's jumping into therapy, setting a boundary with your sister, and again, fully expect this to get worse before it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of your closeness with your sister, or, your brother-in-law might feel a certain way when you cut him off too.
Right.
And I would just say to your brother, like, listen, your brother-in-law, I would say, listen, I love you. I hope you know that. I would love for you guys to be together forever, but you need to start worrying about yourself, because right now, just so you know, I'm kind of in some ways changing my relationship with my sister, because right now, while I still love her and I think she's a great person and I see the good in her and I'm never going to abandon her, she is not a healthy person right now, and she's a dangerous person to be emotionally invested in, and like, certainly work through it. But like, my last bit of advice for you is, I don't know if this is it for you, because right now she's making choices for herself and no one else.
Right.
But you need to stop. After that, you need to stop. You need to kind of have a goodbye call with both of them, and then you need to like enforce that boundary. And you can let them know, like, I can't. I'm not going to fix this. I can't fix this. And all it's done is brought me into your situation. I've tried, but it's now affecting. And you can be a little bit more honest with your brother-in-law about, like, she's,
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust her right now. I don't think you should either. And that's going to feel like a violation from your sister.
That is the actual truth. And you're right when I say I do love him, and I do love her, and like that, and that is true.
And you can tell, how else you want to be? You can tell your sister that you said that to him. I wouldn't lie to anyone. Stop playing both sides. Just be fucking honest. Say the same thing to both of them, and then say goodbye. Not like real goodbye, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, my boyfriend would be, if if he listens to this, he's going to be skipping for joy, because it's been my preoccupation for a while.
Well, maybe thank your boyfriend for saying some of the same things I've probably said, and like, you're just willing to listen to me because I'm some third party who's not invested.
Right.
So like, maybe give him some acknowledgement, and like, maybe a little bit of like, hey, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because you have obviously alienated yourself and your relationship in the sake of being there for your sister.
Correct.
So, all right.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
My-
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I'm sorry you're going through this. It obviously sucks, but like, you have a lot of control that you don't feel like you have. And I think that needs to be this, your lasting takeaway of this. And so stop being a victim in the situation. It's a shitty situation. I understand that. You wish you could fix it on your own. You can't, but you still have a lot of control in a situation that you've honestly probably made more worse than better.
I think you might be right. All right. Well, thanks, Nick.
All right. Take care.
Truly.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
I'm going to set the stage for you. You need some furniture. You went online, you found a piece that you looked for. You're like, ooh, great, I'll have this. And then you go to order it, and it's like, this will be available in 4 months. Well, not with Article. Article is fully stocked with all of their lineups, and most of their pieces are ready to ship the moment you order them.
Article makes it effortless to create a stylish and long-lasting home at an unbeatable price. Article offers a curated range of mid-century modern, coastal, and Scandi-inspired pieces that not only shine on their own, but also pair seamlessly with nearly any other Article product. This thoughtful design approach makes it so incredibly easy to mix and match, helping you create a space that feels cohesive and stylish. We have some amazing Article pieces here in the studio. At home, we've got these like luxurious beanbag layout chairs that honestly, I will repurchase time and time again, no matter where we go, no matter what we do. I will always take these pieces from Article because they're so good. They're so high quality.
You can immediately tell the difference in quality when you receive Article pieces. It's truly top notch, and they have such a great fun selection for every room in your house, indoors, outdoors, it doesn't matter. Article has it all. And if you are looking to upgrade any furniture in your house today, check out Article for some amazing options. And their customer service is top notch. If by some miracle you're not obsessed with your Article furniture, you can exchange it or return it at your convenience and ease. They make that process super easy and stress-free. Article is offering our listeners $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more to claim. Visit article.com/VIALL and the discount will be automatically applied at checkout. That's article.com/VIALL for $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, You can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts who are ready to help you take your business to the next level.
With more than 2 decades of experience with a simple and ambitious goal to pioneer a better way of working, companies at every stage turn to Upwork to get things done and find more flexibility in the way that they staff key projects and initiatives by accessing a global marketplace filled with top talent in IT, web dev, AI, design, admin, support, marketing, and more. Posting a job on Upwork is easy with no cost to join. You can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation.
From there, you can connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. How's it going?
Hi, my name's Carly. I'm 26 years old, and I wanted to know if the D1 quarterback athlete I was talking to was manipulating me, or am I just being dramatic?
Probably a little bit of both. Tell me what's going on.
Okay, so we started talking in December.
Okay.
He used to play for the school that I went to. So where I went to school and where I live now is about an hour apart. So I go back there a lot, games, all that other kind of stuff. We met, just hit it off. He's 22, just to give.
How old are you
So
again?
he's like in his last year, 26.
Okay.
So yeah, so he's like in his last year, like kind of like grad moment, trying to make it type of deal. So he's 22, and we got connected through Snapchat. You let me get your Snapchat, which immediately should have been like whatever, but he was just like, "What's your Snapchat?" And I was like, "Okay, cool." Like we were at the bars, it wasn't a big deal.
Okay.
That's how we started talking. We talked for a while, and then I had to go back up to that school to see a friend. Went there, hung out with him. We did like hang out for the whole day pretty much, and then we ended up like hooking up. But after that, it was, and I knew that I wasn't like trying to get into anything serious or anything like that. But after that, we started talking a lot more consistently, like chatting all day, every day. And mind you, this is like an important part of the story. Our messaging was through Snapchat at this time. He had asked for my number, but when we were talking like the hey, good mornings, hey, everything, it was through Snapchat. It wasn't pictures, but it was like through the chat function. So like we weren't using Snapchat as what Snapchat was really used for. Here and there, we would send like pictures of like whatever, but it was mostly used for the texting function, even though he had my number, whatever. But he would call me through regular number, FaceTime through our regular phone numbers, but our like messaging was through Snapchat.
Okay. Well, let me pause you for a second. I got two questions. Well, one statement.
Yes.
And then two questions. My statement is, it's not whatever. Okay. And then my first question is, at this point, try to bring yourself back in your memory, but at this point, what was your like intentions with this guy? What did you think was realistic? What was going on in your head?
Yeah.
Like, what were you pursuing? And
Yeah,
two, my
very good
second question
question.
is like, why do you think he was texting you on Snapchat versus calling you on your phone?
Did you say why?
Yeah, like why? Like you're like, oh, whatever, as if like it's some sort of like, either you're acting like it's a coincidence or he put no thought into it whatsoever and it just happens to be what he's doing. It's like it doesn't really mean anything. When you say you whatever, it's like
Yeah.
this loaded statement of all these like assumptions and projections. And I'm asking you,
Yeah,
like, why
okay.
why do you think he was Snapchatting you?
Yeah, fair. So one, my intentions at first, it was just like, in my eyes, it was like, oh, like, duh, like he's an athlete. Like I have no expectation. It was more fun. He was really cool.
Okay.
We hit it off because he's like, you're like a I don't give a fuck kind of girl. Like you're older. Like you don't like. He made it seem like all these girls were obsessed with him, and I was the only one that was kind of like, yeah, like you're cool. Like we'll hang out. But I never was like, I never gave him like
What do
the
you mean
assumption that I was like.
what do you mean he made it seem?
Yeah, he would say like, "Oh, like I'm not used to like girls like not like talking to me right away or answering my calls or like begging to hang out. Like you're
Yeah.
not like that. You
Okay.
have like your own stuff going
Right.
on."
All
and
right. So
stuff.
he said that. I'm saying today, as of today, like you're saying it as if he was manipulating or being insincere or lying. Is that how you feel today in this moment about those things he said?
No, at that time I like really believed it. And then kind of fast forward everything. we were talking a lot, hanging out a lot, and then he got moved to a different team. So it all kind of changed. He got moved, transferred to a different team, all of that. And our conversation kind of died down a little bit. Like for a long time, for like 2-3 months, he was begging to hang out, seeing me, like all of that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And then he moved there. And again, with this Snapchat thing, to know you guys are talking to each other the most, this sounds so stupid as a 26-year-old saying this. I know that now. You have like a heart, like a colored heart.
Like a streak or something or whatever.
That shows that we both talk to each other the most.
Sure.
Well, we had a conversation because, he moved and all of that. And we weren't talking as much. And I was like, I knew that it wasn't really going anywhere, but just because of who he is, he would mention that, all these girls that he like used to talk to and blah, 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 blah. Then I was like, okay, cool. Like, obviously, like you're really busy. You're going through a lot. You just transferred to a new team and, that's totally cool. There just doesn't really seem like there's like kind of a place for us right now. And I was okay with that at the time. I knew what I was getting into before I got into it. I had like a crush on him, but I didn't know him enough to be like, I want to date you. I want to like make this something more. And in my head, I also knew even if I wanted that, him being 22, him just kind of the ego that he has, recognizing that, and almost that's okay. Like you're 22, you're an athlete, you have a lot of, availability to you. I was like, I just don't, even if I wanted to date you, I knew I knew that where it was going.
Okay.
So I wasn't trying to fight for the relationship. I wasn't like, hey, I really like you. I'd like to be exclusive. Like, because I knew even if I put that, I'm 26. I know at this point where that was going to go.
Okay.
So I just said, hey, you seem really busy because like I said, everything was consistent for a while until he moved 4 hours away to a new team. And I was like, and he kept saying, I'm really busy. I'm really busy. And in my head, I'm like, no one's ever that busy. And then he kept saying, well, you've never talked to an athlete before, so you don't know what it's like.
Sure.
When I say I'm busy, it's not just a regular guy. I'm busy. It's I have all these practices and then when I get home, I don't always want to talk to someone. So like you say they're excuses, but they're not excuses. And in my head, I'm like, I feel like they're still excuses because like you didn't have 2 seconds to like call. And like, I'm not trying to be needy. I wasn't trying to like tell him what to do. But in my head, when someone wants to talk to you, they will, even if it's a little, hey, I had a really busy day. I'd love to call you later. Or I'll talk to you tomorrow. I've had a really busy day. Just a little bit of communication goes a long way. But in his head, it's like he wants to do it his way.
Okay.
So I tried to like, and that was fine. If he wasn't getting what I was saying, and I'm not going to like argue with someone to make someone call me or text me. So I was just like, hey, no big deal. You seem really busy. You have a lot going on. I just think that it's best if like we go our own ways. And like he immediately responded and he was like, well, I didn't see that coming. Like they're not excuses. Like you keep saying they're excuses and they're not.
Sure.
So from there, I was like, okay, maybe you're being genuine. Like, I don't know. I've never talked to an athlete before, so I have no idea exactly how rigorous your schedule are. You are there. You seem busy. He goes to a really good school for football. So like, I felt like maybe I was wrong. So that happened. And then there were signs and there was feelings in me that was like, I feel like he's talking to someone else because the communication slows down. You don't ask to hang out for a month. Like all these little signs that kind of I knew in my gut weren't just I'm busy. And then I kind of let it go. I was just like, I'm just going to see how things go. I'm not going to like bother him like much. I'm just going to play it out. That's when I think the text that I sent in, the Snapchat heart disappeared, which means he was talking to someone way more than he was talking to me.
Okay.
And in my head, I was like, boom, okay. Everything that I knew is kind of clicking together. And that's when the texts come in about him saying, how dare a 26-year-old act like this? I sent you $1,000 for Valentine's Day. I sent you flowers, like all of these things. Like I always send you money when you go out to go eat. Like I always like try to give you these little things to show you that like I still like fuck with you. And so he just kept saying, I can't believe you're ending this over a Snapchat heart. Like a Snapchat heart, you really cared that much about a Snapchat heart? And I'm like, it's not about the Snapchat heart. That was just like the cherry on top of what I already knew. And he just kept saying over and over in the text messages. And I kind of kept just saying, it's not about the heart. I wasn't going on and on. I was just saying, it's not about the heart. And he was like, you're crazy that you're a 26-year-old and you're acting like this. You know, you're being crazy right now. You know that you're overreacting. You know, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, does he really think this is about a Snapchat heart? Like, it's not. It's just confirming
What do you think?
what I knew. And then fast forward where we are today, he kind of blew up my phone a little bit about it. And I was like, he's not getting it. This is not about the Snapchat heart. I'm not going to keep going back and forth the conversation to try to tell you it's not about a Snapchat heart. You know it's not. And then I let 2 days go by. I didn't respond to his texts. He stopped texting me. He stopped calling me because he was trying to when that all happened. And I just called him because I was like, in my head, it was kind of my ego, but I was like, I don't want him to think that I'm immature and I ended this over a Snapchat heart. Like, I want him to know why I was like over it. And then I called him and he was like, you were being ridiculous. It's not about the Snapchat heart. I am going through a lot. Like, I really care about you. I really like want to like see where things go. I see a future with you and stuff. Like, you're really cool. Like, you're someone I want to talk to. It's just, I hate the team that I've transferred to. I don't fuck with anybody here. Everyone sucks. I'm going through a lot with my family. Like, everything in my life, it just feels like it's going on. And then like you were like my piece of things. Like, I felt like we didn't have any issues. And then randomly you just like blew up on me about this Snapchat heart and freaking out about this stuff. And then basically he wanted me to recognize that I was being dramatic about the heart and about everything. And he even said, oh, like, you wanted that YSL purse. Like, I wouldn't even have gotten that for a girlfriend. I was going to give you the $800 because he had given me $1,000 for Valentine's Day just cause. And the YSL purse that I wanted is like $1,800. And he was like, well, I was going to give you the $800 more. And then you pulled that bullshit on me. So, but you're working your way. And obviously we've been talking since then. He was like, but you're working your way up. Like, you're
So,
like,
and, like,
things
what
have
do
been
you
better
think
now.
about
Like,
that statement?
which one? The like,
Because
you're
any of them, but some of the shit you've told me he said to you, like,
it just made me feel like
now I guess, it's like you're telling your story, but you're also like, you clearly have told the story to a lot of people. And
friends.
now,
Yeah.
and I hear it. Yeah, obviously that's what we friends do. But like, now you're telling me the story, right? And you're just kind of like, now you're on a roll, and now you're just like, just venting and just putting it out there. But like, do you hear yourself say the things that he says to you? Like,
Yeah, and part of me, we have a very joking relationship. So part of me was like, is he like just like, oh, like, don't worry, like you're getting back there. Like, but in my head, I feel like he genuinely thinks that like I was being dramatic
do you
in the
think he's
situation.
joking?
Like,
Do you think he's joking? Do you think these are jokes?
not like fully, but I think
What do
that
you
if
mean
I
by
expressed that
fully?
I was upset about it, I feel like if I expressed that,
Are
hey,
you,
like
let me
that,
ask
like
you
that
this. Are
actually
you
upset.
joking with him when you're asking for clarity about this heart or why he's texting you only on Snapchat or just
No,
some of his,
no,
like,
I wasn't
some of his
joking.
behaviors that you don't fully understand? Are you joking when you bring it to his attention?
No.
Okay. So, like, what makes you think he is joking in response?
Because sometimes it's been a pattern when like I bring something up that bothers me. I was joking. Like,
And do you
that
think
wasn't
that's,
serious.
and do you think that's truthful, or do you think that's him, like a 6-year-old trying to get out of trouble?
I can't tell because like he does seem very like as a 22-year-old, he does seem like immature in that way. Like he just seems very like he just wants to like let it pass. Like
Okay.
it's not that big of a deal. He says that a lot. It's really not that big
All
of a
right.
deal.
So I want
Like,
to ask you the same question. What is your intention with this guy today? I asked you that question, what your intention was when you first started talking with him, but like, what are you trying to figure out and to what end, right? Like, are you trying to figure out whether this is a guy you should pursue in a relationship? Are you trying to figure out whether you're right?
Yeah.
Like what are you trying to figure out here?
Yeah. So I guess like whether it's worth still pursuing or not, because since then we had that conversation. He was like, you're right. Like, you're right in the fact that like I need to make a different effort. Like, like things could be different. So now since then we had that conversation. We have ditched Snapchat. It's gone. He texts me in the morning, when he wakes up for workouts, good morning with a heart. And then we don't really talk much during the day. And then he calls me every night and like we talk, we just catch up and stuff. And it seems like things have moved in a better direction. But I guess it still doesn't address just the way that he, responded to the situation and me being upset and how to figure out when someone is too busy or like, and maybe that's a conversation to have with him. Like, one, is this worth pursuing because you're genuine about, hey, you're busy, you really do care about me, but you have to work around my schedule? Or is it you are one of the many and I'm just kind of,
How long you been fucking with this guy, hanging out with this guy for?
since like December, like mid-December before the holidays.
It's been like 4 months, right? And in those 4 months of communicating with him, have you ever felt in a place of peace or on the same page with him where like
yes.
You have, like, and describe that time. And for how long?
Yeah. So it was literally up until probably Valentine's Day. So when he was like an hour away, we would be pretty much talking all day long. He would FaceTime me, catch me up on his day. He like everything like that. We would make plans to hang out. He was an hour, so he'd be like, "Hey, come up here. Like we can, you stay for the weekend." And that would happen pretty much every weekend or every other weekend. It was very consistent.
And did you know exactly where he stood in terms of how he felt about you, or what his intentions were, or whether he was talking or not talking to other women?
No.
Or your relationship status?
I didn't ask about like that part because it didn't matter to me at that point because I was still talking to people a little bit. And the reason why this bothered me so much is because he would make sly comments because we would kind of joke about like our hoes, but like not really having hoes. And he'd be like, well, I would make you my girlfriend, or I would do this if you weren't like fucking around with, I'm not fucking around, but like talking to these guys. Like, how would that make me seem as a guy if I'm going to like do all these things for you if you're still talking to other people? So then in my head, I said, okay, I'll cut him off then. It wasn't a big deal. I was like, okay, I like you the most. Like, I'll cut them off. And he was like, and that was it. I never said anything to him.
Do you think you're about equal to your peers your age, or do you think you're more or less mature than other 26-year-old women you hang out with?
I would say in the middle.
And okay, so about
like
average.
I definitely have way more immature friends, but
Sure.
I do have friends that are a little bit more
Fair
mature.
Enough. That's an honest. And
yeah.
And what about, like, do you think guys in general are more mature, less mature?
Way less.
Right, way less. Okay, yeah. So,
and that might be because of the age range. Like, I haven't really talked to anyone that's older than me. A lot of the guys that I've dated and talked to are younger than me.
Why?
But also, I live in a city in the South that is very girl dominated. So the guys here are the guys have a lot of options compared to the girls, which is why, I would spend a lot of my time going, up to the city of the school that I went to because it's a really big football city. Like, and then when I go home, but I never really focused on, I'm not like online dating or anything like that. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the guys are immature.
Okay.
I haven't really, in my experience.
Okay. Well, listen, here's the thing. When it comes to in your predicament, you have this kind of weird dynamic as I see it, right? And this is just my opinion, but like, listen, like kind of what I was getting at. Certainly there's exceptions to every rule, but in general, yeah, like especially in your 20s, I think 20s where you see the biggest difference, right? Like, I guess my point is like all teenagers are, what do you expect from teenagers? They're all like a level of immature, and even the mature ones like lack life experience and perspective, right?
Right.
As we get older, right? 40s, 50s, 60s, like age becomes far less relative, and it's really just more about lived experiences and things like that. 30s is a crapshoot. It really is dependent on people's lives leading up to that. But for the most part, 20s, there's just like a huge difference between people in their 20s, between maturity and lack of immaturity. A lot has to do with, experiences in your early 20s versus a lack of experience and things like that, right? But also then there's this truth that like, regardless of how much of your lived experiences you have, like generally speaking, most 40-year-olds have more perspective than most 20-year-olds, even the immature ones, right? Who are 40, and like you.
Right.
So there's that, right? And as a woman who generally speaking are developing more emotionally and more mature than men, you have a 4-year age gap with the guy you're hanging out with, except that this guy is a D1 athlete. And I think that is something for you to consider because you have this weird dynamic. And like, this is why I think it might be so confusing for you, because when you first met, right, you both kind of came in with a bit of power in this relationship.
Yeah.
You came into this as a woman who's 4 years older than him, who acted a little bit different than a lot of the women his age that were like he was quote unquote, as he said, fucking with, right?
Mm-hmm.
He came in as the D1 athlete of the school and the big swinging dick and like the most popular person in a group of popular people as the quarterback. And he has been catered to and treated a certain way and yada, yada, yada. And, he's probably big, tall, handsome and whatever. And like he walks in a room, he gets a lot of attention. That gives him power. That makes him feel confident, et cetera, et cetera. And so you have these two opposing forces of like butting heads. So when he says things like, "Oh, you're different than most girls," and things like that, it's like, I mean, I'm sure it feels good in the moment. Your ego's a little stroked, but like, it's all bullshit, right? I mean, what does that really mean? I think, we get caught up in it in the heat of the moment. But when you're telling the story and I'm listening, I'm just like, okay, yeah, like this sounds like this is exactly what I would expect from a 22-year-old college quarterback and dating an attractive 26-year-old woman. I would expect these types of conversations to happen, right? And when I asked, how long has this been going on for, and how confident and secure how you felt, and you're like, oh no, I've definitely felt confident and secure, and I don't know, it's just debatable. But I honestly think what it sounds like to me is that purple heart or whatever heart that Snapchat gave you was like the bedrock of your security in this relationship. It was a tangible thing that, like, regardless of what he told you, that at least on Snapchat he talked to you the most.
Mm-hmm.
And then that changed, and that obviously changed the dynamic. Now he's just spinning his wheels and trying to, like, I don't know. And the truth is, your question was like, is he manipulating me or am I being dramatic? And I said maybe a little bit of both. And maybe it's also at the same time, maybe neither. I don't know. He's probably lying to you, and yeah, he's probably talking to other women. But also there's an element of, like, I'm sure there's some sincerity from him when you probably are his support system. You probably are there for him in ways that other women or other people in his life haven't or can't be. And I'm sure you do add value to him in his life. And that value that you add makes it feel real, makes it feel meaningful for you. It makes it feel so like it's like there's something there, that you're not just some like another chick that he's like, fucking with or, sending news to.
Yeah. The things he's asking for, it's different than, like, for example, this is bad. Right now I'm watching his dog because he's like, my dog, like, and I know him because I hung out with his dog so many times, that does not like other people, as like really like does not, whatever. So he went to a different state to do training for spring break, and I was like, I'll watch him, like, no big deal. So right now I have him, and like when he needs help, like he's like, I need someone to like clean my house, like, will you help me? Will you like get on a FaceTime with me? Like, try to get someone to help me. Or like, he was with his family the other day and he was like, oh, everyone say hi to my girl. Obviously didn't name me, but was like, and just like stuff like that. Or, hey,
why,
like, you're really smart, like you're older. I just feel like that's just the way he talks. Like, he always refers to me like as his girl, but not like to me and to other people. Like, if he's on FaceTime with a friend when I'm at like his like house,
but not
like,
his girlfriend.
Oh, like, I'm with my girl. No, but that was okay to me because I don't think of him as my boyfriend either.
You're taking care of his dog. What do you think of him as, your son?
No, I think of him as like someone like I care about, that I could like see like something like it going somewhere, but I don't think we're at that point like at all. And
then
that wasn't what I was.
Why are you taking care of his dog?
Because I care about him and I care about the dog. And I knew that it would lessen
if you care about
him.
Yeah, listen, I get what you're saying, but you have this, I would say to you, a very unrealistic and very immature approach to this relationship. And you're not the only one, and I'm not trying to be hard on you, but like, and that's also, I think, is the problem with, not to sound like the old guy, your generation and dating culture today, where it's like you guys like act like you can have this, like, you can have your cake and eat it too. Like, you act mature by saying things like, well, I'm not ready for that right now. But like, here you are taking care of his dog when you're not even his girlfriend. And like at any point, if this guy wanted to whip his dick out and show it to someone else, he can say, you're not my girlfriend. And he wouldn't be lying. He wouldn't, and he's, and it's just like, that's not you. It's like you're playing house. You're just doing your version of playing house. Like, and it's become this kind of weird dynamic where sometimes you act like his girlfriend, sometimes you act like his mom, like, you're his emotional support system. But at any point he can set a boundary with you, being like, whoa, yay, listen, like, this is getting too far, too deep. And it's just like, that's not a relationship. And it's certainly not one that like gives you peace of mind and security and comfort. And like 4 months in, I'll say this much, 4 months in with any guy, I don't care the stakes, his job, his profession, your age difference, you shouldn't be calling into a show like mine with as many questions you have about something that's worth your time.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize.
And if it's this confusing this early, you have a lot, and that's fair.
Like talking, So, and I think that's also because of my ego. Is I'm not the type. I'll never ask you to hang out first.
I get it.
So I think I have so many questions because it's also my fault, because I'm letting him roll how he wants and playing cool girl and not like freaking out about it, which makes it easy on him. But it's also like, Yeah, I do have questions like,
Sure.
are we going to be something? Are we not?
Well, like you
it doesn't
said,
have to be now.
you're
But yeah.
playing cool girl, so like it's an act, right? Like that's okay. We all pretend sometimes, but clearly, like and like yeah, you seem to be emotionally regulated, but like you playing cool girl is you again justifying your and his choices, and this talking yourself through his behavior and the things that don't make sense to you, and you talk to yourself mostly, and sometimes your friends to work through his confusing behavior so you can get to a place where like it kind of makes sense so that you can keep this shit going.
Yeah, my friends were pissed.
Because you really, honestly, you're in the back of your mind, you're like, well, he's 22 and you keep making excuses for him and he's in this very, like the truth is he is 22. He's an extraordinarily transitional part of his life. As a D1 quarterback, I don't know what school he plays for, how big or how good he is, but like, despite him being at the level that he is, it's still like an incredible long shot for him to get drafted. And even if he gets drafted, it's even a little bigger of a long shot, but I have no doubt he probably has these dreams and aspirations and he's like aiming big for his life, as he should, and good for him. But like for the next, I don't know, 8 years of his life, I can promise you this much, you will not be a top priority. You just won't, right? And like you have, it's not like you're his high school sweetheart where like a lot of young athletes marry early and like, sometimes it works out, sometimes it's not. You never want to be like Russell Wilson's girl. I don't know if you've ever seen that video. Like when he got drafted, she's like, I won the lottery. And then like before his big deal, he divorced her and married Sierra. And like, but listen, like you don't even have that going for you. You're all you are is different and older. And like, a lot of, and I'm sure like him dating an older girl for a D1 quarterback kind of makes sense to him because in a lot of ways, he probably is more mature than some of the girls he's hanging out with because despite him being catered to, despite him being in a lot of ways very immature for his age, I've said this, there was like this girl who like hooked up with this hockey guy a long time ago. And I said a very similar thing to you. It's like, he's both incredibly mature and immature for his age. His immaturity comes from the fact that he's been catered to and put up on a pedestal his whole life. But his maturity comes from the fact that he's been put in leadership positions and he's given and he's lived certain aspects of his life that have forced him to be mature as a leader of his team. And that comes out in the form of probably very attractive qualities and his ability to talk to you and keep up with you in ways that other 22-year-old men couldn't.
Yeah, and that's what I was telling my friends. I felt like the people that I was talking to before, like one thing he appreciates about me, he's like, I like talking to you because you're very established in your career. You would, if we got married, it wouldn't be like all these other girls who just want to be like wags. Like you make good money, you have your shit together, which is like someone I want to marry. And for him, I felt like because he's so, like you said, established in his career, him acting this way and having all these opportunities, it's really attracted to me because a lot of the 22 to 24-year-old guys I'm talking to were just getting in their careers. They don't know how to manage their money. They're all these things that are like, and maybe that's the issue of like an age range that I'm going for. But to him, it's like,
why are you going for people who are younger than you? I mean, I get like, listen, obviously my wife's a lot younger than me, but like, are you going for younger men? Or like, is that?
I just feel like that's how I have a lot of like how I meet these people, or like a lot of the guys that I've talked to, like my guy friends are younger, so they'll introduce me to their friends. Like I've never been on a dating app or any of that, so it's just I don't know a lot of older people. Like no one, I don't hang out with anyone older than me. So
maybe mix
it just
it up.
Seems like whenever I go home, that's the other thing. It's if I don't have a problem with it. I'd be open to it. It's just everyone I know is usually younger than me.
Sure, okay, that's
all
fair.
My friends and their friends. Yeah,
your circle of influence is younger. That makes sense. Nothing, you can. But listen, my point is you can change it. You can use dating apps. Dating apps is a tool, not a solution. I'm not saying like get on 5 dating apps and stop meeting people in life, and I'm not saying stop dating younger guys. I'm just saying like it's not necessarily a recipe for success. And like this particular guy, I don't know, like anything's possible, but like I don't know if this guy makes it to the top of the mountain, if his wildest dreams come true,
and he thinks they will.
Great. Yeah,
he's
but like
very, very confident in it. Yeah,
and good for him. But like I don't care if you're the D1 quarterback about to go pro, or not, or when I don't know what I was doing when I was 22. But all I'm saying most 22-year-olds are very wrong about their future.
Right.
Sure.
That's, yeah.
He could still make it to the pros and still be very wrong about his future and other aspects of his life.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is like I don't know what you thought about your future at 22, but I'm guessing 4 years later, you can already point out a lot of things you were wrong about, right? That's called life. You have to live it and whatever. And we don't get to decide when we're 22 what the rest of our lives look like and have it all be exactly what we planned and wanted for ourselves. So
Yeah. And so like, yeah, from here, it's like, is it like, oh, like end it? Is it like it's because it's so weird because it's like, is there something that like,
he is not gonna
it just feels like such
listen,
a
he,
weird.
like, end it. Like, if you're looking for, the type of closure that where it's like you both like mutually decide, and you're on the best possible terms, like that's delusion. It's just not going to happen. Like it's what's clear to me through your story is like, it's very clear to him that he knows why you're in his life. He knows the value you add, right? And he doesn't want to get rid of that, right? And he has his top priority, that is to go pro. Everything else, honestly, is much further down the priority list for him. That being said, you have made yourself very available and very useful to him. I'm not saying he's doing it to use you. I'm just saying like he just has other shit that is a bigger priority, and you've made yourself very available and you've been very accommodating, and you've offered up some of your services both as a friend, as a lover, as a mother figure, as a housewife who's taking care of his dog, and these are all like makes his life easier. So why would he say no to that? And then like, you haven't forced him to be in a relationship, so he will always have this get out of jail free card, and then he'll just argue semantics with you about shit like Snapchat conversations and other girls and blah, 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 blah. But it's worth it to him because, again, what's clear to him is the value you bring. I'm not sure what value he brings into your life other than a great story and a lot of drama and something to talk about with your friends and a potential lottery ticket that, like, while you're not looking to be a wag, it could pay off in the long run, where maybe like the man you fall in love with just happens to get drafted by the NFL.
Yeah, for sure. It was more like a fun story in the beginning, obviously, because he was the quarterback at the school that I went to. Like it was all like, I don't talk to athletes, and so now it's like I think he's really fun. I think he's like really good to talk to.
I'm sure he's swell.
Like,
yeah, I'm sure he's swell. But like he just has a lot to work through. He just has a lot to work through. He's got a lot of other shit going on.
That's the hard part. It's like a good guy. Like he didn't do anything wrong, so it feels almost weird cutting things off with someone who, because he's right. Like he's not doing anything wrong. He's not being an asshole. It's just like it's clearly to me that it's not going to go anywhere. And then he'll argue, "Well, I'm busy. I'm this. I still."
And
want
that's
you in my
fine.
life."
You're like,
And
listen, you are busy. I totally get it, but I'm busy too, and I'm 26 years old, and you're, and that's fine. But what I'm looking for is to invest my quality time and invest my dating. I don't have time. I don't have a lot of time to date, go on dates, hang out with other men. I'm busy too. I'm not trying to say I'm busier than you. Like you have your life to worry about. I have mine. But like when I do date, in the limited time that I have, I want it to be with someone who like has time for me. And listen, you don't. Like you shouldn't have. You should chase this dream. You should go and try to be an NFL quarterback. Like you should try to do that. But like right now, like you don't have time for the thing I'm looking for. And it's not, listen, that's life's not fair. Maybe you'll teach him a lesson here. He is going to fight for that. He is going to fight for you. And that's not necessarily for you. You can tell yourself it's for you and it's love. What it is for like you bring a lot of tangible value to his life. Yeah. You make his life easier. And he is not going to let that go easily.
I should have stuck with that the first time that I did it. Like I said, like when I said, "Hey, no big deal. I think you're busy." And then he was like, "Wait, this shocks me. Like I didn't think you were going to do this." Like, and I should have just like.
You can still do it now. It's been 4 months. I knew that. It's like you're not.
And I did that like a month ago or maybe 3 weeks. It was recent. Whatever. And then he's going to think that he's going to be like, "You're doing this again."
Who cares what he thinks? Who cares? Listen, you don't get to end it and have him be like, what a great girl. She is honestly, what a nice, sweet girl. I wish her nothing but the best. You're considering rejecting a D1 quarterback.
Yeah.
They don't usually take that shit well. They, he's not used to being turned down, not getting the job, not getting, like, like he just transferred in the transfer portal or whatever. Now he's with a new team, and it's been like he's already struggling with that.
Yeah.
He, as a quarterback of a team, he's got a lot of probably learning to do, and shit like that, and all these things. And there's a lot of quarterbacks that make it to the NFL and never, like doesn't go anywhere. Like, he can still be the truly best in the world. He can be one of the top 100 quarterbacks in the world and still be a fucking nobody when it comes to like the NFL.
Yeah.
and still ultimately have people think of him as a failure. That's tough, man. It's tough in his position. And a lot of people like don't have the mental fortitude or the emotional and mental resilience to get where they need to go. Because like the problem that he's in is like, you know, for his whole life, he's been so much better than everyone else. And that, you know, and he has a lot of fucking growing up to do in that department. And like, you know, I don't know, like you can, I don't know if that's a job for you. It's probably a job for a lot of people, and he's going to have to go through years of interactions and things like that. And like, you're just a maid.
Yeah.
You know, you're an emotional support system. You're something to do. You're, you know, like he is not, you know, when he's like, well, I don't know, maybe in the future we get married. I want to marry someone like you. Like you're seeing that as like romantic. Like he's just saying, yeah, I don't know. What I do know about this guy, he's not looking to get married anytime soon. And if he does, it's a reactive decision to like, you know, a panic of losing you. Again, like I'm sure he will fight hard for you, but make no mistake, it's not necessarily for you. He's fighting for himself. He's like, he doesn't want to lose his assistant.
No, that's so valid. And I think that was in my head. I was like, I need to understand that someone can be busy and all the things that he's saying can be true, but that doesn't mean that like, that gives it a right for me to feel like, you know,
yeah. And these
like
gifts,
I feel anxious. I feel all these things.
Yeah, there
and,
you
like,
go.
That doesn't, just because he is busy and all those things are true, that doesn't mean it's like, oh, it's okay that I'm anxious. It's okay that I'm this because he's busy. And that's kind of what I was telling myself. Like, he is busy. I don't understand his schedule. So like, it makes sense that I feel this way, but it doesn't mean I want to still feel that way.
Yeah. And that's more honest about your state of mind and your feelings. It's like, this guy doesn't bring you peace. He makes you anxious. He makes you unsettled, insecure, unsure.
Yeah.
It definitely keeps you busy and preoccupied. You have not been bored in the past 4 months. And like, no one loves being bored. You know, like, listen,
So,
I can't make you, you know, you're going to have to decide for yourself what you want to do. But like, you're going to have to be honest with yourself about like, you know, to me, this is a waste of your time. It is the most you're going to get out of this is a good story. So you'll just have to ask yourself, how much is this good story worth to me?
Yeah. And even you saying that, like with the dog, like he's back at his college now. He's like, oh, like, will you keep him for the week so I can get readjusted to my schedule? And I'm like sitting here like
readjusted to like, why does this guy have a dog?
Because
you know, like, you know,
he shouldn't. He's a puppy and he shouldn't, and he literally cannot manage him at all. And he's stressed out. He doesn't like his team. He like thinks he's made all these bad decisions. So he's stressing out about that. And then he's like, well, will you have him for the like this week? And this is like 2 weeks. And I'm like, I'm happy to help you, but also like, he's not asking me, you know, is this good with your schedule? When can I get him? Like he's operating knowing that I can handle it because I handle everything and I have my shit together, but it's just annoying.
He likes you because he finds the other women that are his age more obnoxious.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're mature enough to play the game a little bit, and you're mature enough to be like, you know, to kind of mask your anxiety and your insecurity. And they're a little bit more reactive maybe, and they're, you know, and they complain to him a little faster and a little sooner than you do. And
that's exactly what he said about the other girls. He'd be like, they ask what I want right away, and they're so worried about what we're gonna be, and like you just like don't give a fuck. And even though inside I give a little bit of a fuck.
You give a lot of fucks.
But
you know? You give as many fucks as they do.
But I know the reality of this situation.
Yeah, but now you're lying to yourself. But like yes, at first you were honest for a brief moment about the reality of your situation, and then henceforth you were lying to yourself about what he said and what he meant and how sincere he was, or yada yada yada. Or you took what he said and you manipulated it and changed it into something that you could accept rather than taking it at face value. And you have used your quote unquote maturity as a way to honestly manipulate yourself. Like, you're clearly an intelligent person, and, you know, like, listen, like, I mean, obviously this is coming from tough love, and I'm not trying to be hard on you here, but like, your question was, is he manipulating me? Is he gaslighting me? And it's just like, we lie to ourselves way more than we lie to anyone else. I say that all the time. No one talks to you more than you talk to yourself. And you know, your ego is internal, and like, listen, you're lying to yourself constantly every day. We all are. But like, it's just easier for you to play the victim here. You know, it's just easier for you to act like he's manipulating you. But again, you saw him for who he was in the beginning of this story, and you have tried to do like mental gymnastics to keep it going. And it feels wrong, which is why you reached out to us, and which is why you're calling, because your gut is telling you, this is not what I'm telling myself it is. And why am I still here? And it's only been 4 months with this guy. and it ain't gonna get better. His life has never been more chaotic. So he's going to feel less in a position to give you more. He's going to feel more justified to ask more from you and expect less from him.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what he said. That's literally like basically without saying it. He's like, yeah. And it's just, from here, it's just, you think having a conversation, like drop off the dog and have the conversation, or figure out a way to get him back. Cause we haven't even figured, cause he's 4 hours away. When I picked him up, I drove 4 hours, picked him up, hung out with him for 2 hours and drove back.
I mean, listen, my answer is path of least resistance, right? Obviously, you don't need to like be dramatic. You don't need to blow this guy up today. You know, like he's not your boyfriend. He's not doing anything wrong. You're in this situation because you made choices and you accepted some of his asks, right? So there's no reason to be reactive or whatever. So figure it out, like take care of the dog. He's obviously, he's going to be selfish. He's going to ask a lot from you. And like whatever you feel is reasonable, just placate. Once he has the dog, I don't even think this requires some big sit down. You're not his girlfriend. You're not his mom. You're not his therapist. You don't owe him anything. He's going to act like you do, but you can just simply it can be a casual phone conversation. It can be like, listen, I have a lot going on too. And I can't be taking care of your dog. And like, you're just not in interest. You're not in a position to be a boyfriend right now. Even if you wanted to be my boyfriend, I know that you have too much other going on. And honestly, you would be a fool for you to like bring a girlfriend into your life. But like, I am 26 years old. I am looking for someone in my life. And like, you're just not it right now, and it makes me sad. I think you're a great guy, but like,
is there a good way to respond? Because I know how he's going to respond. He's just like, you're doing this again. I told you that I would try harder. I told you things would be different. I told you, is there like a good, like, because I don't want to seem like I'm jumping on things as soon as things aren't going my way. Because that's what he says. He says, as soon
whatever.
as
Again, but fine. But like, so fine. And I don't know if he's going to hear it. This is not about, you're asking, is there a good way? What you're really asking, is there a perfect way to say something so things resonate with him? I don't know this guy, and what I do know about this guy, chances are he's very resistant to not getting his way.
Yes.
Right? So like chances are you're not going to say the perfect thing where it's going to like the light bulb's going to go off and he's going to be this mature guy. He's going to fight for the things that you give him. You give him a lot, right? But like you're not asking for anything. Before it was, you were asking for something and that was the truth. You wanted the truth from him. You wanted to find out who was Snapchatting. You wanted to like get some clarity. You're not asking for anything anymore. You're letting him know. And it's not about Snapchat. You have come to a different decision. And that is, you have too much going on right now. I don't even you should be talking to other girls. Like I shouldn't have asked for that. Obviously, I think you're a great guy. You have a lot going for you. I love being around you, but like I have to be mature and recognize that like what I want for myself, you are not, you're too busy for. And like you should be, you are making good choices. Like you should. Like I don't want to ask you to choose between your job and me. Sometimes people do. Like there are relationships out there where it's just like, listen, man, I don't know. I'm not getting what I need and you're a workaholic and like you're never at home and I feel fucking alone in this relationship. You're not in a relationship,
Yeah.
So like you're playing house and you're just like, I just can't, I don't want to do this anymore. And like, I'm just looking for something else. I don't want anything. There's nothing you can say or do to change my mind because you're not doing anything wrong. I just realized I need something different and I don't want you to fight for me and I don't need you to fight for me. You should fight for your job, your career. You're 22. Chase your fucking dreams, man. Like I'm rooting for you.
Yeah. It's what I said the first time, but I did not stand my ground on it. And I just,
yeah, and like in his competitive spirit, he won't even know the difference between like is this a challenge? Does he love you? That's where his immaturity will come out.
Yeah,
and you have to be mature enough to recognize that his reaction will be about him, not about you. And you have to make sure you let your ego know that.
Yeah, and you hit it right on the head when you said like I hate being like the bad guy in people's eyes because like I have done so much and it's going to really annoy me if he's going to think she was immature.
He'll call you names. He'll say a bunch of things. Maybe he'll spread rumors. I don't know. I do not know his level of immaturity, but you're going to have to accept that, anticipate that, and let your ego be okay with that.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
I know.
Yep, that's good advice. It's what I needed, what I knew but needed to hear from someone other than my friends, because it's just a story, like you said, is being
Yeah,
played
fuck.
over and
Your
over.
friends
And
probably fucking love this shit. They're great, and like,
Yeah.
your friends right now, the friends who want you to buy the boat, right? Like they can't even be honest.
Oh,
You go to your
yeah.
friend, be like, hey, should I buy this boat? And your friend's like, yeah, actually sounds like a lot of fun. We would have so much fun. And they're not thinking, can you afford it?
Yeah.
Like, is this a good financial decision? Is this going to like create emotional distress for you? They're just thinking about how much fun the boat is.
Yeah. And they love the story.
No,
and
they want you to introduce you to some of like, they're like, I don't know, is the linebacker single?
Exactly. Like they wanted me to bring, them to games and like make a weekends of it. It's like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, just like ride the wave
Sure.
type of thing.
Yeah.
And for a while it was fine, but I feel like you said, it's been 4 months.
And listen, if you could, and this is not a dare, and like I very much, I say this with caution, but if you were capable, which I don't think you are, and I don't think you're gonna be, and that's not something that you should try out. But if you were capable of truly not giving a fuck and saying no to be like, no, I'm not gonna watch your fucking dog. You shouldn't have gotten a dog.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if you were capable of,
Yeah.
being in more position of power with this guy, then I would say have some fun. But you're not. You're not.
No, at this point I'm not.
And that's more than understandable.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Once, like you said, gonna chill this week with the dog, then find a way to get him back, and then kind of just
Don't
go from there.
if you actually move forward with ending it, don't make a big thing of it. It's not a production. Don't be
Okay.
dramatic.
Yeah, don't be like, we have to talk.
He's not your
Don't be
boyfriend.
like, just kind of, yeah.
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 Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for calling. Please give us an update on how when and if you do that and how that went.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Hey guys, if you loved what you listened to, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.